Chapter 1474. That was the theory, but it was not an easy task. Not even the immortal's body could stand the sword formation. It would be difficult for Lu Li. Could space twist, or the Slayer's move do the trick? It would be even more difficult to disperse the clouds and smoke. If the inhibition formations of a Ghost Lord could be broken so easily, then he would not be a Ghost Lord. Wait, I don't need to. Lu Li suddenly thought of something. He knew how to use the force in heaven and earth to suppress enemies. Could he use the same to suppress the sword formation? If the swords could not reach down, then he and the immortal's body could go through easily. Blood Fairy, do it again. Lu Li waved his hand in excitement. Blood Fairy did not ask any questions. She flew the immortal's body over. After Lu Li was free from the force in heaven and earth, he waved his hands and used the force in heaven and earth to suppress the space above the immortal's body so that the sword formation could not reach down. It works. When Lu Li used the force in heaven and earth to suppress the clouds and smoke, the swords formed by the clouds slowed down. By the time the swords were about to reach down, the immortal's body had dashed over. Whoosh, whoosh. Unfortunately, there was a limit to the space that Lu Li could control. The clouds and smoke here were suppressed. In the distance, the clouds and smoke formed swords and smashed the immortal's body away again. Master, this is a good idea. When the immortal's body was pulled up, Blood Fairy said at once, if we can suppress the space around the immortal's body so that the swords cannot reach down, then it will be easy to go through. Lu Li forced a smile. Suppressing the space around the immortal's body was easy. However, that would also affect the immortal's body. The immortal's body could not move. So what if the swords could not reach down? They still could not go through. Don't worry. Let me think about it. Lu Li waved his hand and took the immortal's body back to the valley. In the valley, he could improve his divine energy and body at any time. Since it was time to think, why not go to the valley? Inside the valley, Lu Li found a random place to sit down and began to think. The iron chain bridge that seemed to be impassable now had some hope, a great one. The suppression of the force in heaven and earth had been broken. Now, it seemed that the sword formation could be broken by using the force in heaven and earth. Lu Li's spirits were lifted. He calmed down and began to think carefully about how he could use his own abilities to break through all the obstacles. It suppressed the space around the god's corpse, making it difficult for all the long swords to reach it. On the other hand, the immortal's body could not be moved. If it were Lu Li, he could move at will. But what if something went wrong? It was very likely that he would be pierced by the long sword. After all, the cloud on the other side of the iron chain bridge was dark red, so its power must be extraordinary. I need to control more power of heaven and earth. Lu Li thought of using heaven and earth force to suppress the clouds. The speed of the clouds gathering slowed down, and the sword was still coming. He understood that the amount of power of heaven and earth he could control was not enough. If he could control more power of heaven and earth, he might be able to walk over easily, and the sword array would not be able to do anything to him. Seclusion. Lu Li went back to closed-door cultivation after he sorted out his thoughts. He hadn't mastered the fundamental principle of force of heaven and earth yet. As long as he kept on, he could borrow more force from heaven and earth. If I integrate the power of heaven and earth into the space twist, the power will be doubled. Lu Li thought of another possibility. When he released the space twist, there was a strong force of space. By then, he could kill all the mighty warriors in the divinity, no matter how many there were. What was more, if the force of space was strong enough to suppress the super mighty warriors in the divinity, he could use the space twist to strangle them to death. Lu Li had seen the horrifying power of the super mighty warriors in the divinity. Before he made a move, the super mighty warriors in the divinity had already sensed it. As soon as Lu Li made his move, the super mighty warriors in the divinity must have dodged or killed him already. Back at the Valley of Ghost King, the old man who plotted against Lu Li was able to break his space twist easily. That horrifying whirlwind enveloped Lu Li. He could not move at all. That feeling of helplessness still lingered in his heart. There were billions of immortals in the divinity, but there were only 1 million immortals on the list and only 10,000 super mighty warriors in the divinity. The data should not be accurate. Many super mighty warriors in the divinity might not be on the list. But even if the data was multiplied by 10 times, there are only 100,000 super mighty warriors in the divinity. Any super mighty warrior in the divinity could not be underestimated. Those people had climbed out from piles of corpses time and time again. Every one of them had their own unique and powerful skills. Let's not think about it. I will study the fundamental principle of space first. When I can borrow enough power of space, I will be able to cross the Iron Chain Bridge. I wonder if I can get out after I cross the Iron Chain Bridge? Luli calmed himself down. He could not forget how long he had been in there. Was it 6 years, 7 years, or 8 years? How was the situation outside? Had that lovely little girl grown up? How was she doing now? Luli did not know. He did not dare to think too much. Otherwise, he would be distracted in cultivation. By then, it would be more difficult for him to get out. Luli had been in the Ghost King Hall for 7.5 years. The massacre shrine was still the same. Apart from the number of over 30,000 people and Shun, you becoming a mighty warrior in the divinity, there were not many changes. The Pan-King flag was still planted on the Kunlun Mountain. No one dared to mess around in the massacre shrine. That young master you had returned from the Jade Pool 2 years ago. But the moment he returned, he went into closed-door cultivation and did not come back to the massacre shrine. It was as if he had given up on pursuing Qi Shi'er. Pan Yuqin had also returned a long time ago. After she returned, she went into closed-door cultivation as well. It was said that Pan Yuqin had obtained an ageless fruit. Not only could this fruit make one immortal, it also contained some sort of bizarre heaven and earth Dao charm. Pan Yuqin went into closed-door cultivation. If she did not completely refine the fruit, she would not come out. 1 month later, Qi Shi'er came out. The moment she came out, the entire massacre shrine was in an uproar. Because Qi Shi'er had broken through to the divinity realm, furthermore, her body was completely grown. The moment she came out, many of the males in the massacre shrine were stunned. The heavens were very fond of Qi Shi'er. Although they had taken away her father's life, they had given her a beauty that could topple the world. Especially the indifference emitted from her bones, which made her seem like a goddess from the 9 heavens. She gave people a feeling of nobility, holiness, and inviolability. When many of the gang members saw Qi Shi'er standing outside the castle, they felt ashamed of their inferiority. This is an extremely pure snow lotus. No one was willing to get close to her, afraid that she would be tainted by the filth of the mortal world, not to mention blasphemy. Uncle Shi, Uncle Yu. Hello, everyone. Qi Shi'er looks at Zhao Shi and the rest, and smiles sweetly like a blooming snow lotus. Everyone's face involuntarily turns into a smile as they feel that their soul was baptized by this smile and became pure. After greeting them, Qi Shi'er's leg pushes off the ground and floats down Kunlun Mountain like a gust of wind. Her speed is like a ghost, causing Zhao Shi and the rest to be unable to react. Stop chasing. You will not be able to catch up to me. By the time Zhao Shi and the rest react to chase, Qi Shi'er had already floated down Kunlun Mountain. Her gentle and firm voice rang out. Uncle Shi, don't worry about me. Shi'er has already grown up. I will make a trip to the Ghost King Palace. I will go and find Big Brother. Chapter 1475. To Ghost King Hall. Qi Shi'er's words caused Zhao Shi and the rest's expression to change. Luli was still in Ghost King Hall, and Qi Shi'er was going to court death. If Luli came out and Qi Shi'er died in there, Luli would probably tear them apart. Rong Zheng, Zhang He, the two of you will hold the fort at Kunlun Mountain. Qinyu, let's go. Zhao Shi waved his hand and shouted, Everyone, listen up. Level 1 alert. Before we return, no one is allowed to leave the mountain. With that said, Zhao Shi and the rest did not care about the bewildered gazes of the gang members on the mountain as they rushed towards the northwest. Before leaving, Zhao Shi activated the Skylock formation to prevent the martial artists in the hall from moving around. Swish, the two of them reached their top speed but were still slower than Chi. The two of them were bewildered. The two of them had reached the almighty realm of the God realm for a period of time, and they were still slower than Chi, who had just broken through. It could only be said that Chi's comprehension of the true meaning was very powerful, and this lass's talent was too heaven-defying. Chi was not even 20 years old this year, and she had already reached the almighty realm of the God realm. She could be considered as an exceptional talent in the entire land of Yuyan. Wow, young Lady Chi's speed is so fast. And what did young Lady Chi say just now? She wants to go to Ghost King Hall? Heavens, is young Lady Chi taking things too hard? That's not right. Young Lady Chi said that she's going to look for her brother? Isn't her brother the Hall Master? Could it be that the Hall Master is currently in Ghost King Hall? The mountain became bustling as people gathered in twos and threes. Luckily, most of them did not know that Chi's brother was Lu Li. Otherwise, there would be a commotion. The remaining almighty from the God realm, Rong Zheng, glanced around and shouted, "All of you, shut up and do what you should be doing. If you're going to be so long-winded, all of you can go and mine for 1,000 years." With Rong Zheng's shout, the entire mountain quietened down. Rong Zheng was the famous black-faced king of hell. Anyone who offended him would be severely punished. The people on the mountain quickly dispersed, but the messages were still spread out, causing the entire massacre shrine's morale to waver. Any sect, faction, or army had a leader, and the leader was the soul of the army, while Lu Li was the soul of the massacre shrine. Lu Li had not appeared even once in all these years. Many of the gang members already had all kinds of ideas. At this moment, they were all panicking. Zhao Shi and Chunyi no longer care about Massacre Shrine. The two of them raised their speed to the limit, hoping to block Chi before reaching Ghost King Valley. Chunyi was fine, but Zhao Shi treated Chi like his own daughter. He watched her grow up, so how could he watch her die? Yeah, Chi dares to go out? Hurry up and report this to the young master. This is a great opportunity. What Zhao Shi and the others didn't know was that there were two translucent people hiding in a mountain to the west of Kunlun Mountain. The two of them saw Chi leave and saw Zhao Shi and the others rush over. Their faces were instantly filled with joy. The two of them discussed for a while. Then, one of them transformed into a fox and gave chase. His speed was no slower than Zhao Shi's group. The other person rushed in another direction, holding a jade talisman in his hand and crushing it. Chi's thoughts were very pure. This little girl had many beautiful human qualities when she was very young, such as innocence, kindness, beauty, strength, and so on. For so many years, she didn't have any contact with outsiders. Thus, she had always maintained these beautiful qualities. Her mother never cared about her. When her father died tragically, she was still very young, and her heart was at its weakest. Lu Li's appearance and his pampering of her made her transfer her feelings for Chi Junfeng over. In her heart, Lu Li was both a father and a brother. There was also an indescribable feeling in it. There were many things that she didn't know. She only knew that Lu Li stayed because of her. He helped her when she was at her toughest. He stood by her side when she was at her most helpless. Chi Junfeng was dead, and she thought that Lu Li was her only relative. Now that she had become stronger, and Lu Li was trapped in a cage, how could she watch by the side? She raised her speed to the limit. She knew that Zhao Shi and the others would definitely chase after her. She comprehended a type of wind attribute true meaning, and her speed was faster than the average almighty in the God realm. She also comprehended a type of light attribute true meaning, and her lethality was not bad. She had a pure mind and was confident that she could deal with all difficulties after entering the Ghost King Palace. The Kunlun Mountain was not far from the Ghost King Palace. In just one day, she arrived at the Valley of Ghost King. When she saw that nobody was standing outside the Valley of Ghost King, she put on a smile of relief. Zhao Shi and the others couldn't catch up with her. She could enter the Ghost King Palace, find Lu Li, and save him. Ha. Before she could rush into the fog, a faint laughter came from inside. Following that, A handsome man dressed in embroidered clothes with a jade-like face and elegant demeanor walked out. He was accompanied by an old man whose aura was as deep as the sea. Shockingly, he was a super almighty from the god world. Lady Shearer, we meet again. Young master, you walked out, and when he saw Chi Shearer, he was stunned. It was like seeing Chi Shearer for the first time. His heart was pounding. Chi Shearer's beauty took his breath away. Chi Shearer didn't dress up in any special way. She was wearing an average white dress, and her hair was combed into a crescent bun. She only had a green belt around her waist. She didn't wear any jewelry. Young master, you didn't think she was shabby. Instead, he thought it was inappropriate for Chi Shearer to wear jewelry. No jewelry could match her. She was the most dazzling jewelry in the world. Chi Shearer was almost 17 years old. She was at the age where she was about to bloom. She had a graceful figure and a delicate face. Her temperament gave people a sense of holiness and inviolability. She was a piece of pure jade without any blemish. Young master, you had seen many girls over the years. He had seen many beautiful young ladies. Apart from Pan Yuqin, he thought all the other young ladies were worthless. Compared to the girl in front of him, they were like flowers and leaves. Not only young master, you. Even the old man nodded to himself. This girl was a masterpiece of heaven. Heaven loved her so much that all the good things were given to her. Chi Shearer looked awful. She didn't expect that Zhao Shi and the others wouldn't catch up. How could they coincidentally run into young master Yu here? She felt disgusted seeing how young master Yu was looking at her. Her expressions grew cold. She said indifferently, Young master Yu, I still have matters to attend to. I shall take my leave first. Chi Shearer did not wish to speak to young master Yu anymore. She tapped the ground with a single leg and floated towards the valley like a swallow. She wanted to find the entrance of Ghost King Hall and enter. Ha ha ha. Young master Yu smiled faintly as a trace of resolution appeared in his eyes. Originally, he had not made up his mind. After all, Massacre Shrine was Pan Yuqin's territory. Right now, he could not care so much. He gave a signal to the God World super expert behind him and said, Miss Shearer, don't be in a hurry to leave. Meeting is fate. Let's go to the nearby Star Mountain to have a drink. Swish, that God World super expert took action. He floated over like a ghost and waved his hand lightly. Chi Shearer's body was actually fixed on the spot. Bang! Chapter 1476. Chi Shearer was at a good realm, but she had no real battle experience. She grew up under the protection of Qi Junfeng, and Luli never allowed her to participate in any battles. Therefore, when this old man floated over, she had no idea how to deal with him. That being said, this old man was a super mighty warrior in the divinity. Chi Shearer's reaction speed was nothing. Their abilities were worlds apart. Even Luli could be killed instantly. Let's go to the Star Mountain. Young Master Jade's face showed a trace of happiness. He waved his hand and flew away. He didn't choose to return to the Overlord's manor because he was worried about Pan Yuqin. If he went to the Overlord's mansion, there would be too many people and it would be easy for him to be exposed. The Stellar Mansion was actually a subsidiary force of the Overlord Mansion. The old man who had attacked Chi Shearer was an elder of the Stellar Mansion, so bringing him back to the Stellar Mansion wouldn't be a problem. Whoosh, the old man carried Chi Shearer and followed the young noble like a ghost, quickly disappearing into the distance. Miss, after the two of them left, a middle-aged man walked out of the mist in the valley, his face filled with grief and indignation. He gritted his teeth and let out a low roar, suppressing the anger in his heart. He had been hiding in the mist of the valley and had witnessed everything that had happened. Just now, not only did he not come out to help, but he also did not show the slightest bit of concern. Instead, the corners of his mouth curled up in a mocking smile. He did it on purpose. Otherwise, he would definitely be killed by the experts from Star Mansion. He could only disguise himself as a scout from a great force to avoid being killed by the expert from Star Mansion and young Master Jade. This person is the scout of Massacre Shrine that Zhao Shi had left here to monitor. The moment Chi Shearer arrives, he noticed her. He was going to stop Chi Shearer, But when young Master Jade and the others appeared, he didn't dare to move. What should we do? What should we do? The middle-aged scout is very anxious. To all of Massacre Shrine's martial artists, Qi Shi is their precious princess. Now that something has happened to Qi Shi, he is helpless and does not even know what to do. He knew that Lu Li was in the palace of Ghost King. They could not rely on Lu Li. Could they go to Zhao, Shi, and the others? But Zhao, Shi, and the others were so weak. Would they court death by going to the House of Stars? Thinking that the beautiful, kind, cute, and pure Qi Shi was going to be tainted by this beast, the middle-aged scout's heart burned. Qi Shi is the pure land in the hearts of all the Massacre Shrine members. That is the most beautiful place. But at this moment, she is going to be defiled by a beast. This causes the middle-aged man to wish that he could eat young Master Yu's flesh. Forget it. Let's go back and report first. Although he knew that reporting this to Zhao Shi and the others might not be of any use, what else could the middle-aged scout do? Could it be that he was going to the Stellar Mansion to court death? If he could save Qi Shi by dying, he didn't mind. But with his strength, he would die for nothing. He sprinted toward the direction of Kunlun Mountain. After running for half an hour, two figures rushed over from afar like tigers and wolves. He quickly hid to the side and used his divine sense to check. We saw that it was Zhao Shi and Chunyu. He quickly rushed out with joy. He knelt on one knee and shouted, "Elder Zhao, Elder Chun, something happened to Miss Shi." Boom! It was as if Zhao Shi had heard a bolt from the blue. His body trembled, and his face turned pale. Chunyu looked awful as well. His face was as pale as ashes. He was thinking about how he could explain to Lu Li if he came out. Zhao Shi's lips trembled slightly as he said in a trembling voice, "Did she rush into the Ghost King Palace?" "No." The middle-aged scouts' answer cheered up Zhao, Shi, and Chunyu. But what he said next made their hearts sink. "Young Master, you took Lady Shi away from the Ghost King Valley. She must have gone to Stellar Mountain. It was Patriarch Meng of the Stellar Mansion who took her away." Yuling Long, Meng Yinshan. Zhao Shi's eyes were spitting fire. He was filled with killing intent. He roared and was about to rush to the south when Chunyu stopped him. Chunyu was calmer. He said in a deep voice, "Zhao, calm down. You will be courting death if you go to the Stellar Mansion like this. It is pointless. Shi is going to be defiled by that bastard and you ask me to calm down?" Zhao Shi turned around and shouted, "Chunyu, let me go. You may be afraid of death, but I am not." "Zhao, I'm not afraid of death. I am afraid that it will be pointless." Chunyu didn't feel ashamed or angry. Instead, he shouted coldly, "It doesn't matter if we die. What's important is to save Shi. I know you watched her grow up and treat her as your own daughter. Am I not the same? I owe home Master Qi my life. How can I watch Shi get hurt? We have to find a way to save Shi instead of foolishly throwing our lives away." "Find a way?" Zhao Shi's breathing became slightly rapid. His expression changed a few times. He gritted his teeth and said, "The Hall Master is not here. What can we do? What else can we do besides risk our lives?" Yuling Long and Meng Yinshan have gone too far. I will go back and mobilize the army to attack Stellar Mansion. Even if I die, I will make Stellar Mansion pay the price. "I have a way." Chunyu's eyes turned and said, "I will mobilize the army to Stellar Mountain and bring the coiling dragon flag there. You could go to King Pan's city to find young Lady Pan. As long as you can persuade her to come forward, I think this matter can be solved." Young Lady Pan? A graceful figure appeared in Zhao Shi's mind. His eyes slightly lit up and he said, "Yes, find young Lady Pan. Since young Lady Pan gave us the coiling king flag, she will definitely help us." "But," Zhao Shi said worriedly, "it will take a long time to get to King Pan's city. I'm afraid we won't make it in time. If she is tainted, I'm afraid she will ask for death. That's why I have to mobilize the army to Stellar Mountain." Chunyu said calmly, "I will bring the coiling king flag and set up camp at the foot of Stellar Mountain. Yuling Long won't dare to act recklessly before the matter is settled. I will delay him for a while. You go and return quickly." "All right." Zhao Shi nodded heavily. He threw his token to Chunyu and flew off. As he ran, he roared, "Old Chun, if anything happens to Shi, we have to kill you, Linglong, even if we have to risk our lives. Otherwise, we won't be able to face the old home master after we die. I know. Chenyu nodded his head and waved his hand at that scout. You can continue to stay in Ghost King Valley. Finishing, Chenyu turned around and flew away. After traveling for half a day, he returned to Kunlun Mountain. The moment he reached Kunlun Mountain, he immediately pulled out the Coiling King flag and shouted, "Everyone, gather at the foot of the mountain, now!" Rongzheng flew over, and Chenyu took out Zhao Shi's token and said softly, "Something happened to young Lady Xie. We need to go and save her. This time around, it is more dangerous. Rongzheng, if you do not wish to go, you can stay in Kunlun Mountain." "I'll go." Rongzheng is Zhao Shi's sole slave. When Chenyu took out Zhao Shi's token, Rongzheng still wanted to show off. How can he shrink back now? He immediately flew over and gathered the experts of Massacre Shrine. Chapter 1477. Star Mountain. Over 30,000 soldiers were bewildered. Chenyu couldn't be thinking of leading everyone to attack the Star Mansion, right? That was a high-grade force that had two super almighty existences from the divine world. However, Chenyu was the battle hall master, so Rongzheng had no objections. Furthermore, Chenyu was holding on to Zhao Shi's token, so no one dared to say anything. Tens of thousands of people began to march in silence, all the way to the Star Mountain in the south. Mount Xingchun was not too far away from Mount Kunlun. If it was only Chenyu, it would only take him a day and a half if he ran at full speed. Now that there were tens of thousands of people marching, the speed would naturally be affected. It would probably take 3 to 5 days. The movement of Massacre Shrine immediately attracted the attention of the surrounding powers, especially the nearby 6 middle-rank powers, as well as those small powers who were badly frightened. In the eyes of the nearby middle-rank forces, Massacre Shrine is an overlord. These few years, the 6 forces have been treading on thin ice, afraid that Luli would bring his army over and crush them into powder. Previously, Massacre Shrine moved once, but they only subdued a few small powers in the vicinity. Right now, this is the first time Massacre Shrine is moving out on such a large scale. If one were to say that they're only pulling them out for a stroll, even if one was beaten to death, they would not believe it. The Moonwheel Palace was the most afraid. When many Moonwheel Palace cultivators received the news, their first thought was to flee. The Full Moon Palace only had 1 Divine Realm martial artist, while Luli had 4. This was not counting Qi Shi. There was no way they could fight this battle. However, Yuan was able to keep his composure. He immediately sent someone to the Stellar Mansion to ask for help. At the same time, he activated the formation and prepared to defend to the death. After Yuan failed to attack Massacre Shrine, he took the initiative to submit to Star Hall. He was afraid that Luli would attack the Full Moon Palace. Even though the Full Moon Palace had to pay a huge amount of divine sources to the House of Stars every year, the Full Moon Palace had the backing of a major force. The Star Mansion was not far to the south of the Full Moon Palace. The Mansion Master of the Star Mansion was shocked when he received the news. Although Massacre Shrine is a middle-grade power, the Star Mansion Master does not treat it as a small power. One had to know that the King Pan flag was planted on Kunlun Mountain. That was almost like an imperial sword. Star Mansion's mansion head Meng Yinyin immediately sends people to inquire about the news, wanting to see what is wrong with Massacre Shrine. Soon, someone came back to report a piece of news, which made Meng Yinyin so angry that she almost jumped up. Not long ago, Yu Linglong and Meng Yinshan returned with a peerless beauty. At this moment, Yu Linglong had even brought that peerlessly beautiful woman to a castle in the backyard. It was obvious that he was going to do something improper. Someone, let the young lady go see young Master Yu and stall him for half a day. Meng Yinyin rolled her eyes and passed down an order. Before he is clear of Massacre Shrine's goal, he cannot let Sir Jade succeed. Otherwise, if something big happens, he will implicate Star Mansion. If it was someone from another faction, then so be it. Even if it was the young mistress of the Heaven Emperor Palace, Jiang, he wouldn't care if Yu Linglong wanted to play with her. At the very most, he would just ask the Heaven Emperor Palace to look for trouble with the Overlord Manor. Massacre Shrine is different. Pan King flag is planted on Kunlun Mountain, which represents Pan King's will. If the Pan King's mansion became enraged because of this, it was unknown whether something would happen to the Overlord's mansion, but at the very least, the Stellar Mansion would be annihilated. Therefore, Meng Yanyan didn't dare to gamble or offend young Master Yu too much. She could only let his granddaughter stall for a while. On the other side, young Master Yu was not in a hurry to take action because Qi Shi was still unconscious. He felt that there was no mood and no meaning. Thus, he sat there quietly and waited for Qi Shi to wake up. Looking at Qi Shi at such a close distance, his heart became more and more excited as his breathing became hurried. Thinking of the scene of Qi Shi waking up and having fun under his crotch, his blood started to boil. Knock, knock, knock. A series of knocking sounds came from the door, and young Master Yu's expression turned gloomy. He swept out with his spiritual senses and shouted, "What's the matter? Didn't I say earlier that I'm not meeting anyone?" "Young Master Yu," the maid outside reported respectfully. "Young Lady Yin is here. She says that she wants to discuss some matters." "Young Master Yin?" Young Master Yu's expression turned heavy. This is Meng Yanyan's granddaughter. Usually, she had always been aloof towards her. There were many times when she wanted to get her hands on her, but young Lady Yin never allowed her to do so. Why did she take the initiative to come over now? "In, you let young Lady Yin wait. I will come over immediately." Young Master Yu scanned Qi Shi with his spiritual senses and realized that she might not wake up anytime soon. After thinking for a moment, he placed one hand on Qi Shi's forehead and poured in some divine power, using a special method to seal Qi Shi's divine power. This way, even if Qi Shi woke up, she wouldn't be able to escape. He tidied up his clothes and walked out. Young Lady Yin was rather good-looking. She was over 30 years old, but her appearance was no different from Qi Shi's. Her strength had also reached the almighty of the divine domain and was considered one of the top-notch young ladies. In the past, young Master Yu had always felt that young Lady Yin was not bad and had wanted to get her many times. It was a pity that young Lady Yin wasn't a casual person. She had vaguely expressed that unless young Master Yu officially married her to the Overlord residence, she would never have sex with him. When young Master Yu saw young Lady Yin's beautiful face today, no matter how he looked at it, it was a little lacking. Young Lady Yin was indeed beautiful, but it didn't make young Master Yu develop an intense desire. He originally wanted to play with this woman, but now, he didn't even have the mood to do so. Young Lady Yin sensed the change in young Master Yu's attitude towards her, and the smile on her face became even denser as her attitude became more relaxed. Her words and actions had some obscure teasing. If it was in the past, young Master Yu would have been teased to the point that his body would be burning with lust. But now, he did not have any reaction. While they were chatting, young Master Yu was slightly absent-minded and even had a slightly impatient look. If it was in the past, young Lady Yin would have retreated unhappily. But now, she had a mission to delay young Master Yu for an afternoon. Thus, she could only use all of her skills to delay young Master Yu. On the other side, Meng Yanyan quickly found out the accurate news that Massacre Shrine's army had already passed by Full Moon Palace and are heading straight for Stellar Mountain. Their goal is very clear, which is to target Stellar Mountain. Meng Yanyan called Meng Yanshan over, and Meng Yanshan did not hide anything as he revealed Qi Shi's identity. He also did not expect that Massacre Shrine would have such a huge reaction and actually turn out in full force, putting on an attitude like they want to risk their lives against Stellar Mountain. Meng Yanshan originally did not think much of it. It is only a lass. If young Master Yu wants to play, what can he say? After all, if something happens, isn't there Overlord residence? Now, he was starting to regret it. Chunyu had come with a Pan King flag. What if Chunyu led his men to attack the mountain? Should they retaliate or not? If he counterattacked, if he destroyed the Pan King banner, wouldn't Pan King Mansion be enraged? Old Eighth, you're so silly. Meng Yanyan paced back and forth in the main hall a few times before she finally made up her mind and said, that last yin is currently delaying young Master Yu. Immediately, secretly move that last sheer away and lock her in the dungeon. As long as nothing happened to this lass, at least the situation could still be salvaged. In addition, he sent someone to the Overlord Manor to report this matter to Manor Head Yu. If Mansion Master Yu does not care, we will hand him over to Massacre Shrine. If Residence Lord Yu interferes in this matter and Pan King Manor blames us in the future, it will have nothing to do with us. Chapter 1478. To be able to become the manor head of Star Manor, Meng Yin is naturally not an idiot. There is no benefit in doing this. If he does something wrong, he will have to bear the risk of being exterminated. Meng Yin is not that foolish. Right now, doing this will only offend young Master Yu. So what if he is offending a young master? After all, he is not the true higher-ups of Overlord Manor. Meng Yinshan takes action and sneaks into the room. He brings Qi Shi'er away and locks her in the dungeon. At the same time, he uses a special communication array to inform the manor head of Overlord Manor of this matter. After Miss Yin drags on for half a day, young Master Yu can no longer take it and send her off. Having achieved her goal, Miss Yin leaves with a smile. Young Master Yu anxiously enters the room, but in the end, Qi Shi'er has disappeared. Killing intense soars from young Master Yu. If he still does not know that it is Star Manor's doing, then he is an idiot. Miss Yin had been talking nonsense for the entire afternoon without any substantial matter, making him feel that something is wrong. How could a living person go missing in Mount Xingchen? Other than Star Manor's doing, there is no other possibility. Whoosh, Meng Yinshan floats in time and smiles bitterly at young Master Yu. Young Master Yu, don't be angry. We also have our difficulties. Massacre Shrine has mobilized all of their people and should be able to reach Stellar Mountain in a few days. If this matter can be settled, I will personally send that lass to your bed. Massacre Shrine? What is that? Young Master Yu raises a cup of tea and smashes it on the ground. Who knows if it is because of his anger towards Massacre Shrine, or is it for Star Manor to see? Or perhaps it is both. He sneers coldly at Meng Yinshan. A middle-grade power can scare you to this extent? You two brothers only have this kind of future prospects. Meng Yinshan's expression changes and says coldly, if it is an ordinary power, then so be it. But Kunlun Mountain has the Pan King flag. Young Master Yu, you need to think for us. What's wrong with the Pan King flag? Young Master Yu's expression turns especially gloomy as a fierce glint appears in his eyes. His handsome face becomes distorted as he snorts. Is it because Kunlun Mountain has the Pan King flag that they can attack all the other powers? Just by carrying the flag, they can take down Overlord Manor? This flag was planted without a name. This was Pan Yuqin's personal action and had nothing to do with Pan King Manor. If Pan King Mansion dares to stand up for Massacre Shrine, all of the major powers will be unhappy. At that time, Pan King will not be able to suppress the situation. That's true, but Meng Yinshan smiled faintly and did not say anything else. The hidden meaning was that the Overlord's Manor was a big family with a lot of assets, and the God-World's paragons weren't afraid of the Pan King's Manor, but their stellar mansion was just a small shrimp. The Pan King's Manor could casually dispatch a single person to destroy the stellar mansion, send a message to invite Uncle Chong over. Young Master Yu waves his hand and says with seething, killing intent, when the people from Massacre Shrine come over, there is no need for you all to take action. I will let Uncle Chong do it. No matter how many people from Massacre Shrine come, I will kill them all. I don't believe that Pan Yuqin will really ignore the big picture and dare to kill me. All right. Meng Yinshan felt as if a heavy burden had been lifted from his shoulders. He had been waiting for these words. Young Master Yu has a personal bodyguard, Uncle Chong, who is a super expert in the God world. But some time ago, he had gone to do something in secret. Since young Master Yu agreed to take action, it is no longer related to Stellar Mansion. At that time, when the people from Pan King's Manor come, they will have an excuse. Meng Yinshan went down and sent a few pretty maids to help young Master Yu vent his anger. Young Master Yu is also impolite and tortures the maids until they are hovering between life and death, tormenting them for the entire night. On the other side, Massacre Shrine's army marched day and night. After passing through Full Moon Palace, they headed straight for Stellar Mountain. A lot of people start to feel apprehensive in their hearts. If they were to attack a middle-grade power, no one will think much. Instead, they will be very excited. But right now, Chenyu seems to want to pull everyone to attack a high-grade power. Is Chenyu crazy? Is he thinking of pulling a group of people to die? There are at least 50 to 60,000 martial artists in Stellar Pavilion. Furthermore, there are over 10 experts from the God World and 2 super experts from the God World. If these tens of thousands of people rush over, it will be like a mantis trying to stop a chariot or an egg smashing a rock. But these few years, Massacre Shrine's martial artists have a very strong sense of belonging to the shrine. After all, there is no other power that treats its members so well. Chenyu and the rest's prestige is very high. Thus, for the time being, no one questions them. If they are really going to attack Stellar Mountain, there will definitely be a lot of people who will feel apprehensive in their hearts. 3 days later, the army reaches the foot of Stellar Mountain. A lot of martial artists start to feel apprehensive in their hearts. Some of them even plan to escape the moment the situation is not right. Luckily, Chenyu did not give the order to attack. Instead, he stationed the army 1,000 miles north of Stellar Mountain and planted the Pan-King flag on it. Seeing the Pan-King flag fluttering in the wind, a lot of people's hearts indescribably calmed down. Furthermore, Chenyu's expression is calm and has the demeanor of a great general. This temporarily stabilizes the army's morale. After Chenyu reached this side, he did not do anything. He did not even send any emissaries to Stellar Mansion. He only set up camp here. He believes that Stellar Mansion has already received the news and saw the Pan-King flag. After entering the territory of Stellar Mansion, they did not meet with the army's obstruction. Chenyu is clear that Stellar Mansion has some misgivings. Chenyu is waiting. He is waiting for Zhao Shi's side, waiting for Pan Yuqin to take action. He is only here to put on a show so that young Master Yu and the people of Stellar Mansion will not dare to touch Shishir. Meng Yinyun is also waiting. He also did not send any emissaries to negotiate with Chenyu. He only sent some scouts to monitor the situation. He is waiting for young Master Yu's bodyguard, Uncle Chong, to come over. He is also waiting for Prefecture Lord Yu's reply. He is also waiting for Pan-King Residence's response. Since Chenyu is not attacking the mountain, he will pretend that he did not see anything. Bang, bang, bang. Zhao Shi knelt down heavily in front of Yi Kai in one of the side halls of Pan-King Hall. Yi Kai's expression is a little unnatural. He reached out to help Zhao Shi up and said, "Elder Zhao, it is not that I do not want to help you. It is just that young mistress is in deep seclusion. No one is to disturb her. Even if we want to report, we can enter." Bang, bang, bang. Zhao Shi continued to kowtow heavily. If he was not afraid of damaging the floor, he would have kowtowed with all his might. He looked at Yi Kai pleadingly and said, "Lord Yi, please help me. Think of a way. She is the Hall Lord's younger sister. If something happens to her and the Hall Lord comes out, I will not have the face to see him. I can only kill myself as an apology. Come out." Yi Kai repeated the word to himself. He forced a smile to himself. How many years had it been since Lu Li was in there? If he could come out, he would have come out by now. It was because Yi Kai suspected that Lu Li could not come out that he didn't want to go to Pan Yuqin. Of course, Pan Yuqin was in deep seclusion. It would be difficult for Yi Kai to go and report. What if Lu Li really comes out? An idea came to Yi Kai's mind. After a while, he made up his mind and said, "Get up. I will try my luck and see if I can inform young mistress. If I cannot, then there is nothing I can do." "Thank you, Lord Yi." Zhao Shi kowtowed again. Yi Kai left quickly and went to a huge manor in the back. He came back in less than an hour. He shook his head and sighed. There is nothing we can do. The castle that young mistress lives in has activated the inhibition formation and there are guards outside. Pan King said in person that nothing can disturb young mistress when she is in closed-door cultivation. Plop! Zhao Shi had just stood up when he knelt down again. His face was filled with despair. Who else could save Qi Shi'er without Pan Yuqin? Chapter 1479. Luli was still in closed-door cultivation. He had no idea what was going on outside. He did not know that his beloved Qi Shi'er was suffering and could be defiled at any time. But he woke up 5 days after the army of the Massacre Shrine arrived at the Stellar Mountain. When he opened his eyes, he was filled with excitement. After cultivating for such a long time, he finally had a breakthrough. His control over the force of space was much stronger than before. Before, he could only borrow the force of space with a radius of 1 mile. Now, he could at least borrow the force of space with a radius of 3 miles. His control over the force of space was much stronger. It was like a person who had learned the fundamental principle of fire. He could control any kind of fire. Suppress. Luli did not do anything strange. He simply raised his hand. There was no movement in heaven and earth. Blood Fairy only felt an invisible force pressing down. She realized that the immortal's body could not move at all. Master, your control over the force of space has improved. Even though she did not know the details, Blood Fairy could tell that Luli had made great progress. Luli grinned and nodded. Let's go and have a try. Luli walked toward the abyss. Along the way, he sensed his divine energy and physical body. Once again, he exclaimed that this was a land of treasures. Cultivating here was too fast. His divine power and fleshly body were growing too fast. He had been here for over 7 years, but he felt he was progressing faster than when he stayed outside for 100 years. Arriving at the abyss, Luli did not take the risk himself. He took out the silver whip and let the immortal's body move forward. The immortal's body strode toward the iron chain bridge. 30 feet later, the force of heaven and earth suddenly descended. Clouds and smoke came into being and formed into swords. Suppress. Luli waved his hand. An invisible force came and suppressed an area with a radius of 1 mile. The immortal's body could not move, nor could the clouds and smoke in the air. The sword stopped in the air as if space had been frozen. Good. Luli nodded. He waved his hand again. The suppression disappeared. Luli pulled the immortal's body back. He said, "Okay, I will walk in front. You control the immortal's body to follow me." "Master, be careful," Blood Fairy said. Luli smiled confidently. His control over spatial force was too strong. He was confident that he could control all the clouds and space around him. Luli strode forward. He had only moved for 30 feet when an invisible force came down on him and the immortal's body. Luli did not mind. He circulated the divine energy in his body in a strange pattern. Soon, he could move his hands again. With a wave of his hand, he cracked the seal using spatial force. Whoosh, whoosh, in midair, the sword formed from clouds and smoke began to cut down. Luli waved his hand. This time, space began to tremble. A spatial force that was 10 times stronger than before pressed down, suppressing the clouds and the long swords. "Let's go." Luli grabbed the immortal's body with one hand and moved forward. He was not affected by spatial force, but the immortal's body could not. Fortunately, he was strong enough to easily grab the god's corpse and walk forward. Luli did not move fast. He walked forward step by step. In the distance, the clouds and smoke were like startled wolves. They formed swords and dashed toward Luli. However, every time Luli was within 1 mile of the clouds and smoke, Luli would wave his hand and the swords would stop. They were suppressed by spatial force. I can use spatial force now. I think I can even stop a super mighty warrior in the divinity. Luli exclaimed to himself. His steps were steady. In the time for half an incense stick to burn, he had crossed half of the iron chain bridge. The clouds and smoke were getting thicker. However, no matter how thick it was or how many swords there were, Luli could stop them easily. It was as if there was an invisible force field around Luli. Everything within 1 mile of him could not move, not even the wind. The last part is the most difficult. As long as I can make it through this part, I will have passed the level. Luli did not gloat at all. He stared at the last part of the iron chain bridge. The smoke over there was reddish-brown in color, which was horrifying. It was up to him to see if he could stop it. Step by step, Luli slowed down. Finally, he reached the last part of the bridge. The clouds and smoke over there were stirred up. They turned into reddish-brown swords and flew toward Luli. Luli slapped with one hand and shouted, "Suppress!" Space began to tremble. A surge of violent force came. Luli's heart was in his mouth. If he could not stop it, he would have to cultivate again, and he did not know how long that would take. "Okay, soon," Luli shouted. The reddish-brown swords were not completely suppressed, but they were slowed down. Without any hesitation, Luli seized the opportunity. He mobilized divine energy and sped up. Then, he dashed forward like a sharp sword. 500 feet, 300 feet, 100 feet, 50 feet. Right when Luli was about to cross the iron chain bridge, the space around him began to tremble. Luli's spatial force disappeared. Then, the reddish-brown swords were coming at him and the immortal's body from all sides. "Master, let's go." When Blood Fairy noticed that the immortal's body could move, she slapped Luli's back without any hesitation. Then, she controlled the immortal's body to fly up and fend off the swords. Bang, 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 Luli heard some shrill noises. He turned around and saw that the immortal's body was smashed away. Luli used psychic power to check. He was shocked to see that many scales on the immortal's body were cracked. If it were not for the fact that Blood Fairy had controlled the immortal's body to fend off the swords, the immortal's body would have been pierced through. Fortunately, Blood Fairy reacted quickly. Just now, Luli was about to use spatial force to stop the swords. If he had done that, he would have been slower and would have died a tragic death on the Iron Chain Bridge or in the abyss. Phew, phew, Luli breathed heavily. Making sure that nothing was happening on the Iron Chain Bridge, Luli asked, "Blood Fairy, is the immortal's body destroyed?" "There's some damage. Some of the arrays inside have been damaged." Blood Fairy replied, "But don't worry, Master. I can repair the formations and the scales. I just need time." "It's okay. Take your time. We are here." Luli was relieved. The immortal's body's strong defense was like a shield that had helped him many times. If the immortal's body was destroyed, Luli would have lost a powerful helper. What? Luli checked. Up ahead was another valley, but the valley was divided into two. There were two paths. Can it be? Luli was excited. He waved to the immortal's body and strode forward. At the fork, he picked a random path. In a moment, he had reached the end of the valley. The altar. Chapter 1480. Luli did not enter the teleportation formation at once. Instead, he observed the surroundings carefully. Then, he left this tunnel and entered another one. As Luli had expected, there was a door at the end of the tunnel. The door should lead to the next level. Luli told the immortal's body to push the door open, but did not budge. "If I want to go to the next level, I have to figure out a way to crack this door," Luli exclaimed. Without any reluctance, he turned around and walked toward the other tunnel. Luli was not interested in what was behind the door or how many levels he could reach to get the treasures of the Master of Ghost. The first 3 levels almost cost Luli his life. He would be committing suicide if he were to go to the later levels given his current abilities. Luli chose to go because he could come to the Hall of Ghost at any time, and he could leave after passing the first 3 levels. Therefore, he could not wait to go out and see if the Hall of Massacre Shrine was safe. He arrived at the altar. Still, he was not in a hurry to open the altar. Instead, he told Blood Fairy to reach her tentacle into the altar. What if the Master of Ghost had set up a trap? What if this teleportation formation was to teleport to the underworld? Blood Fairy took back her tentacle after a while and said to Luli, "Master, everything is normal. This is a teleportation formation. Let's go." Luli did not hesitate. He went into the altar and poured out divine energy. The altar began to glow. After a flash, Luli and the immortal's body vanished into the altar. Buzzing, the space in the Valley of Ghosts trembled. Then, Luli and the immortal's body came out from thin air, which startled the scouts outside. As soon as Luli came out, he used psychic power to check. He was relieved to find that there were only some scouts nearby. Luli paid no attention to those scouts. He put away the immortal's body and flew out of the valley. The longer he stayed here, the more the news that he came out would spread. What? The scouts of the major forces did not know that Luli had entered the palace of Ghost King. Therefore, they were surprised and confused as to where Luli came from. What? At the same time, Luli had just arrived at the entrance of the valley. He sensed a familiar figure with psychic power, but he did not dare to take it for granted. He didn't dare to admit it. That man was stunned for a moment. Then he ran over with joy, dropped to one knee, and said in a choked voice, "Grand Master, you are finally out." Luli finally dared to confirm that this person is indeed from Massacre's Shrine. He has a vague impression of him. He sensed a divine sense probing out from the valley. So he waved his hand and said, "Let's talk outside." Luli rushed out, and the middle-aged scout followed him out of the valley. After arriving at a small hill, the middle-aged scout knelt down again and hurriedly said, "Oh, Master, please go back and have a look. Something has happened to Miss Scherer." What? Like a thunderbolt, Luli trembled just like Zhao Shi. His eyes grew cold as he asked, "What is going on? Tell me." "I don't know the details. I have been waiting here for years. Half a month ago, Lady Scherer arrived. I was about to stop her when young Master Yu of the Overlord's mansion appeared. Later on, Patriarch Zhao and the others came. I heard that they were going to mobilize all the troops to the Stellar Mountain." The middle-aged scout told Luli everything he knew. The more Luli heard, the worse his expression became. He was filled with murderous intent. After hearing the last word, Luli had already flown towards the south, leaving behind a sentence. "Don't stay here anymore. Go back to Massacre Shrine. Tell the people staying at Kunlun Mountain that I am back." "Okay." The middle-aged scout nodded. Luli's words of "I am back" somehow put him at ease. It was as if with Luli around, nothing would be a problem and nobody would dare to find trouble with Massacre Shrine. Whoosh, Luli flew for dozens of miles. The cloaking armor appeared over his body, and he flew at his top speed. He didn't take out the immortal's corpse because his divine energy was abundant and his physical body had improved. His speed was no slower than the immortal's corpse. Actually, he could fly in the void. It was just that the Stellar Mountain was not far from here. If he flew in the void, he would have to cross a prefecture's distance. He was afraid that by then, he would be even further away from the Stellar Mountain. Hang in there. I will be there in a day at most." Luli took out the map and took a look. With his current speed, he could reach there in a day. However, when he thought about how Chi-Shir had been kidnapped for half a month, his heart sank. Chi-Shir must have been defiled a long time ago. When he thought about how that lovely girl was defiled, Luli was filled with anger. He clenched his teeth and shouted, "Young Master, you right? You better protect Shir. Otherwise, I will think of a way to wipe out your entire family." The battle at the Stellar Mountain had yet to start, and Zhao Shi did not reply. Even if Chun Yu and the rest had 10,000 guts, they wouldn't dare to attack the mountain. On the contrary, more and more people were panicking because the Stellar Mansion had mobilized their army to confront them. Although they did not charge down the mountain, they had already set up a battle formation. The change in Stellar Mansion's attitude originated from a message from the Overlord Mansion's master. The Overlord Mansion's master did not give any order. He only sent over a sentence, "I understand." Just a few words, but it carries a lot of meaning. The Overlord Mansion's master, Yu Qingtian, indicated that he knew about this matter but did not give any instructions. This meant that he had tacitly approved of this matter. This also meant that he had tacitly approved of Yu Linglong's actions. He had tacitly approved of Yu Linglong provoking Pan Yuqin. Since Yu Qingtian indicated that he was willing to shoulder this matter, Meng Yinyun had no choice but to show some attitude. Of course, he still did not dare to send out his army to attack. Instead, he was waiting for Uncle Chang to come over and for King Pan's mansion's reaction. As long as Uncle Chang attacks the soldiers of Massacre Shrine, and as long as no one from King Pan Palace comes out to help Massacre Shrine, that would mean that King Pan Palace would not care about this matter. When Yu Linglong knew that Yu Qingtian had sent over a message, his confidence increased greatly. He keeps clamoring for Stellar Mansion to lead a team to attack. He is also not stupid. If Stellar Mansion takes action, at the very least, if anything happens in the future, he can find a scapegoat. It is a pity that Meng Yin is unmoved like a mountain. Even if he offends Yu Linglong, it does not matter. He will not be used as a spear by others. The crucial point is that if he becomes a spear, he will not have any benefits. During sunset, a mysterious expert suddenly climbs up the mountain. Uncle Chang had finally rushed back from the far south. Yu Linglong instantly became spirited and called Meng Yinshan over to let him and Uncle Chang lead a team to exterminate Massacre Shrine tomorrow. Yes, young master. Uncle Chang looks very old, and his back is arched. He did not hesitate before agreeing. To him, Yu Linglong's order is an imperial edict. Furthermore, didn't you Qing Tian send a message over to tacitly approve of this matter? Fine then. Meng Yinshan clenches his teeth and agrees. But he secretly decided to let Uncle Chang kill for a while. As long as no one from King Pan Palace comes, he will lead a team to kill and exterminate all the people from Massacre Shrine. Chapter 1481. At daybreak the next day, Star Mansion's side starts to get busy. Meng Yin personally commands while Meng Yinshan deploys troops and gets a few experts from the God Realm to lead the troops to the sides, preparing to surround the people from Massacre Shrine. Star Mansion wants to show some attitude to Overlord Mansion. Thus Meng Yin considered for an entire night before deciding to surround the people from Massacre Shrine. As long as Uncle Chang takes action and the people from Pan King Mansion do not interfere, then they will not have any worries and will start the battle. Yu Linglong woke up early in the morning with a radiant expression. He takes out a silver sword and prepares to take action personally, killing thousands of enemies in the morning and sleeping on a beauty's lap at night. This is the most ideal life in his heart. He is prepared to kill to his heart's content before enjoying Qi Shi'er's devastatingly beautiful body at night. Sir, it is best if you don't take action. This old servant will settle this matter beautifully. Uncle Chang leans on a walking stick and looks so old that he cannot even walk. His eyelids are drooping, and he looks lethargic like he will enter the grave any moment. No worries. Jade Young Master waves his hand and says, Massacre Shrine is just a group of clay chickens and pottery dogs. There are only 2 experts in the God Realm. How can they injure me? The Heavenly Emperor armor on me is comparable to a saint artifact. Unless it is a super expert in the God Realm, no one can kill me. Uncle Chang thinks for a while and feels that this is logical. The experts in the God Realm are basically unable to kill Jade Young Master. If it is a super expert in the God Realm, who would dare to kill Jade Young Master? No one can bear the price of Yu Qingtian's wrath. After all, Yu Qingtian is the ruler of the God Realm. Late in the morning, Meng Yinshan returns. He nods his head towards Jade Young Master and says, Sir, it has been arranged. All the paths have been blocked. No one can escape. Then what are you waiting for? Kill. Jade Young Master reveals a sinister smile as he unsheathes his sword. This sword is exceptionally bright and has the aura of a sword light that can chill the 14 continents. Dense, killing, intent soars from his body as he kicks off with a single leg and flies down from the Star Mountain like a fierce bird. Oomph. Uncle Chang's drooping eyelids suddenly open as a sharp glint appears in his blurred eyes, just like when Jade Young Master unsheathes his sword. His walking stick lightly touched the ground, and the stone slabs on the ground cracked into pieces. He glanced at Meng Yin and Meng Yinshan indifferently. His body fluttered lightly and quickly caught up to young Master Jade. Old Eighth. Meng Yin didn't think much of it. When the 2 of them rushed down, he shouted in a low voice. Meng Yinshan took out a giant axe, waved his hand, and said, Descend the mountain. Set up the formation. Meng Yinshan didn't say anything about attacking, only about setting up the formation. It was clear that he was going to sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight. He led the 10,000 soldiers down like a tide. Tens of thousands of people galloped together. The momentum was too strong, like a monstrous wave that could topple mountains and overturn the seas. Swish, swish, swish. Massacre shrines, several tens of thousands of experts have a huge change in expression as they look at the tens of thousands of people rushing down from the mountain. Looking at Jade Sir and Uncle Chong, who are like two sharp swords stabbing into the army, a lot of their teeth start to tremble. 2 Deity World Super Almighties, 7 or 8 Deity World Almighties, and more than 10,000 soldiers. Not counting the 10,000 soldiers, just the 2 Deity Worlds Super Almighty Experts and 7 or 8 Deity Worlds Almighty Experts could easily wipe out all of them. Sigh. Chen Yu's expression did not change much. He stood under the Pan King flag and locked his gaze on Jade Sir with killing intent. He sighed in his heart and was already in despair. If Pan Yuqin was willing to help, she should have arrived by now. As long as Pan Yuqin sends a word, Meng Yinyun would obediently send Qi Shi'er back. Nurture an army for 1,000 days to use it for a single moment. Hall Master has treated us well. Right now, Lady Shi'er is in the Star Mountain, and she is suffering from endless suffering. Even if we risk our lives in battle, we must save Lady Shi'er. Kill! Chen Yu roared out with all his might. He carried the Pan King flag and took the lead to fly forward. His back view was filled with determination. Rong Zheng, who was behind him, clenched his teeth and followed behind. At the same time, he roared out, "Brothers, even if we die, the bird will face the sky. For Lady Shi'er, for Hall Master, let's fight. Fight! Kill!" 2,000 of Massacre Shrine's most senior martial artists roared out as well. A lot of them knew that Qi Shi'er had met with a mishap, and Chen Yu intentionally spread it out. Naturally, it is to incite everyone's common hatred for a common enemy. Qi Shi'er's beautiful face appears in the minds of a lot of people. Seeing Chen Yu and the rest charging forward, the blood in everyone's body starts to boil as they roared and charged forward. Kill! Most of the Massacre Shrine's martial artist blood was ignited as they charged forward. More and more people followed, and only 3,000 to 4,000 people's eyes darted around as their footsteps slowed down. Ants! Jade Sir, who was flying down from the sky, sneered. When he was still over 10 miles away, the sword in his hand lit up, and he suddenly slashed forward. A sword light descended like the Milky Way and swiftly extended over, arriving in front of the army. Bang! The army was like a pancake as a hole was split open by this shocking sword light. A row of dozens of martial artists were killed on the spot, and a lot of people were sent flying by the sword chi. The scene was in chaos. Die! Uncle Chong followed closely behind and released his attack. He brandished the crutch in his hand and did not make any fancy movements. He just waved it in front of him. Chila! A few hundred illusions of crutches appeared and turned into a few hundred enormous dragons as they charged towards the army. An earth-shattering pressure came crashing down. The martial artists who were still madly rushing over were all dumbfounded. Many people were suppressed by the pressure to the point where they couldn't move. They could only watch as hundreds of earth-yellow dragons came crashing down. Finished, Chen Yu looked at the enormous dragons in the sky in despair. The little bit of morale that he had just gathered was completely shattered by the enemy in a single move. The difference in realm is too big, and the difference in strength is like heaven and earth. Don't talk about the God World experts behind him. Just Uncle Chong alone can easily sweep away everyone from Massacre Shrine. Boom, 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 a few hundred enormous dragons whizzed down, and the martial artists on Massacre Shrine's side instantly died. Every enormous dragon would cause an intense explosion, taking away dozens of lives and injuring hundreds of people. Escape. Quickly escape. If we do not escape, we will all die here. Where's the Hall Master? Why has Palace Master not appeared yet? Could it be that Palace Master has abandoned us? The remaining soldiers no longer have any fighting spirit. Uncle Chong killed 2,000 to 3,000 people with 4,000 to 5,000 injured. How are they going to continue fighting? After a few rounds of Uncle Chang's attacks, everyone died. No one wishes to die, and naturally, they will have thoughts of retreating. Meng Yinshan saw that Jade Young Master and Uncle Chong had taken action, but there were no movements in the surroundings. He also did not receive any signal that there were experts coming to help. He made his decision and waved his hand as he roared, "Kill! Don't let a single one of them off." The moment Meng Yinshan gave the order, all the martial artists from Star Mansion who were hiding in the surroundings moved out. Martial artists as far as the eye could see rushed over and surrounded the massacre shrine's martial artists as they started a brutal massacre. It is unknown if it is because Chunyu is carrying the Pan King flag or something else, but Jade Young Master, Uncle Chong, and the rest did not attack him. He rushed to the front, and at this moment, the enemies have already rushed over. However, he no longer has any thoughts of counterattacking. Looking at the martial artists who had collapsed, his face is filled with grief as he roared in his heart, "Palace Master, where are you? If you still don't return, Massacre Shrine will be exterminated today. Yuling Long, Meng Yinyun." At this moment, an earth-shaking and incomparably furious voice came from the northwest. The cold, killing intent in that voice caused all the martial artists from Star Mansion to tremble. The voice continued to ring out, "If I do not kill all of you today, my surname is not Liu. Palace Master." Chapter 1482. Lu Li traveled day and night, but he was still late. The warriors and scouts outside could not stop him. He flew into the battlefield like a breeze. He used psychic power to check, and his eyes turned bloodshot. There were more than 30,000 warriors wearing the standard armors of the Massacre Shrine. Now, there were more than 10,000 on the ground. Many of them were familiar to him. For example, Zhang He, the patriarch he had chosen, was on the ground now. He was cut in half at the waist. "Grandmaster, Grandmaster, 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 Grandmaster," Chinyu shouted. Many experienced warriors who knew Lu Li shouted as well. Then, everyone followed suit. To many, Lu Li was the symbol of invincibility. It was as if with Lu Li around, there was nothing to be afraid of, and he could kill any enemy. Their voices echoed through the clouds and shook the ground. Many warriors of the Mansion of Stars didn't dare to move. They all looked at the white-haired young man who was rushing over. A mighty warrior from the divinity? Some warriors of the Mansion of Stars sensed and found that Lu Li was only a mighty warrior from the divinity. They sneered. There were more than a dozen mighty warriors from the Mansion of Stars and 2 super mighty warriors in the divinity. Wasn't Lu Li courting death by coming alone? Charge! Some warriors were filled with killing intent. This Grand Master seemed to be arrogant. He said that he wanted to kill Meng Yinyun and Young Master Yu. Who did he think he was? Hundreds of warriors moved toward Lu Li quietly, trying to kill him. However, before they could get close to Lu Li, he took out the Demon Slayer and swung it at them. A ray of sword light in the shape of a half-moon whooshed over. A situation that caused many of the soldiers nearby to be bewildered appeared. The several hundred soldiers suddenly stopped moving, and like living targets, they took on that huge saber light. Bang! The power of the saber light was not very great, but it still killed dozens of soldiers and sent the remaining soldiers flying. Ha ha! In the distance, Uncle Chong, Young Master Yu, and Meng Yinshan saw this and sneered. Lu Li was just an average mighty warrior from the divinity. Apart from courting death, it was meaningless for him to come alone. Kill him. In front of Lu Li was a mighty patriarch from the House of Stars and the divinity. The patriarch waved his hand and led over 1,000 warriors toward Lu Li. As far as he was concerned, Lu Li was just so, and he could kill Lu Li easily. Die! Lu Li bellowed. Then, an invisible force came down. None of the warriors could move. This time, Lu Li made 2 moves. There were no blade rays flying out of the 2 blades. Only 2 spatial ripples spread out one after another and poured into the front of the over 1,000 soldiers. Bang, 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 a scene that shocked Meng Yinyun, Young Master Chong, Young Master Yu, and Uncle Chong appeared. As the 2 spatial ripples spread out, the thousands of soldiers in front of them all exploded into minced meat. The deity world's almighty elder from the Stellar Mansion also couldn't block it, and his body exploded in an instant. The sound of people sucking in a breath of cold air could be heard. He had killed more than 1,000 soldiers with a single move, and one of them was even a supreme being from the immortal world. What was even more bizarre was that the more than 1,000 people seemed to have turned into idiots at that moment. Their bodies were motionless, as if they were waiting for death. Hall Master is mighty. Chen Yu's blood was boiling. Seeing how brave Lu Li was, he shouted excitedly. The Massacre Shrine's warriors beside him also raised their arms and shouted, "Hall Master is mighty, mighty!" Bang, bang, bang. Lu Li's massacre had not ended yet. He dashed over like lightning and made 2 consecutive slashes to the left and right. 2 spatial ripples spread out, and the warriors on both sides were like harvested rice, exploding into minced meat. 2 moves, and another 2,000 were killed. Lu Li was like an unstoppable war machine, and his massacre speed was too fast. If he were to continue like this, the 80,000 over Stellar Mansion's warriors wouldn't be enough for him to kill for an hour. Meng Yinshan was anxious as he shouted, "Retreat to the sides." As he spoke, he flew over and swung his axe at Lu Li's direction. Meng Yinshan's attack was very unique. On the surface, it looked like there was only one axe shadow, but behind it was a long axe shadow. When the axe shadow at the back chased after the axe shadow at the front, it would be like a monstrous wave. Each wave was faster and stronger than the previous one. This was a type of water true meaning that Meng Yinshan had comprehended, and he had comprehended it to a very profound level. He had a total of 99 axe shadows, and the later the axe shadow was, the more powerful it was. Once a person was hit by the first axe shadow, the axe shadow at the back would follow. Each axe shadow was faster and stronger than the previous one. It was already not bad for an average almighty being in the divinity realm to be able to block 30 axe shadows. Lu Li felt the overbearingness of this attack. He looked at the axe shadow and felt as if he was being pressed by a mountain and he couldn't breathe. Suppress. He suddenly struck with his palm, and the space in front of him trembled violently, following which a powerful force of space pressed down and enveloped an area with a radius of 1,000 feet around Lu Li. Swish, swish, after the axe shadow entered the space that was suppressed by Lu Li, its speed became extremely slow, at least 100 times slower. On the other side, Lu Li moved away easily. By the time the axe shadow chopped down, his body had already drifted to the side for miles. Meng Yinshan is startled. Jade Gentleman and Uncle Chong, who are far away, are also astonished. After Jade Gentleman killed over a dozen of Massacre Shrine soldiers, he asks in bewilderment, "This is the true meaning of time?" "Doesn't look like it." Uncle Chong shook his head. His eyes flickered and said, "It should be space true meaning." The space was suppressed by him, so Meng Yinshan's attack speed became slower. A trace of brutality flashed in young Master Yu's eyes as he snorted, "Uncle Chong, go and kill him. My mission is to protect you." Uncle Chong shook his head and sent a message. "Young Master, this person has a close relationship with Lady Pan. He also has King Pan's token. It is better to let Meng Yinshan do it. Later on, we can find a scapegoat." King Pan's token. Young Master Yu's heart skipped a beat. Not many people knew that Lu Li had King Pan's token. Super forces like the Overlord's mansion could find out easily. His handsome face was twisted. He stared at Lu Li with fire in his eyes, as if he was wondering what was so good about Lu Li. Why did Pan Yuqin love him so much? King Pan's token and King Pan's flag. Was Lu Li really Pan Yuqin's lover? Courting death. Meng Yinshan saw that Lu Li was about to start killing warriors of the Mansion of Stars. Meng Yinshan dashed over like a mad dragon. He wanted to get close to Lu Li and kill Lu Li with his most powerful move. He could tell that Lu Li seemed to know some kind of space true meaning. Long-range attacks could not kill him. Therefore, he wanted to get close to Lu Li and kill Lu Li with his axe. What could Lu Li's space true meaning do to him? Super mighty warriors in the divinity were fast. In an instant, they caught up with Lu Li. Meng Yinshan's axe glowed in black and red as he hacked at Lu Li's head. Haha. Chapter 1483. Luli had been waiting for the arrival of super mighty warriors from the divinity. He would not be able to survive if several came at once. Therefore, he must have a strategy to lure them over one by one. As a matter of fact, Luli could have suppressed the axe shadow with spatial force, but he did not. He slowed down the axe shadow, which gave Meng Yinshan an illusion. Luli had learned a spatial fundamental principle that could slow down attacks. Therefore, to kill Luli had to get close. Once Luli got close, Luli would have a chance. Luli could borrow more spatial force now. He might not be able to suppress the super mighty warriors from the divinity, but he could slow them down while Luli's speed would not be affected. Therefore, within the range of spatial force, Luli would not feel much pressure when facing the super mighty warriors from the divinity. Hoi! As he spoke, Luli waved his hands. The space nearby began to tremble. Following that, a surge of horrifying energy came down, enveloping Meng Yinshan and the hundreds of warriors nearby. Ow! Meng Yinshan's eyes went round. He felt like he was being crushed by several mountains. It was very difficult to move. Even moving a finger was very difficult. He could not believe it. How could a warrior from the divinity learn such a powerful, fundamental principle? Space twist. Almost without any hesitation, Luli swung the demon slayer in his hand. He made 2 moves in a row, and 2 ripples spread out in space. Space twist and space force did not conflict. Meng Yinshan watched as the ripples spread out. The space around him was twisting violently. Then, a surge of horrifying spatial force appeared. Bang, 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 his armor cracked. His body was covered in blood. For the first time, there was fear in his eyes. He screamed with all his strength, "Lord Chong, brother, save me, hiss, hiss." The surrounding Star Mansion soldiers stopped attacking. Everyone's gaze and divine telekinesis were locked on this side, and their faces were filled with shock. Meng Yinshan was not a super mighty warrior from the divinity, but he had been one for hundreds of years. How could he not be a match for a mighty warrior? Stop! A furious roar rang out from the stellar mountain. An old man dressed in luxurious robes flew over like an eagle, his robes fluttering in the wind. He roared again in midair. "Palace Master Lu, we can talk things over. Don't kill." Hee hee. The answer to Meng Yin was a sneer. Luli released space twist again, and 2 ripples spread out. The space around Meng Yinshan twisted again. This time, Meng Yinshan couldn't hold on any longer. His fleshly body exploded layer by layer, turning into flesh and blood that splattered everywhere. At this moment, the whole place suddenly quietened down. It was so quiet that even a pin drop could be heard. Nearly 100,000 people on the plains stopped moving. Their gazes and divine senses were locked onto the sky, full of flesh and blood. That was a super almighty of the God realm. That was the world's top-notch martial artist. Any higher, and they would be the God World Supremes, who were almost immortal. Battles broke out in the land of Yuyan at all times. Many forces were destroyed, and countless martial artists were killed. However, it was very difficult for the super mighty figures of the immortal world to die. Only one would appear occasionally. Now, yet another super almighty from the God world had died. Moreover, he had died at the hands of a nameless young man. Moreover, he had died at the hands of an almighty from the God world. Meng Yinshan died casually. It looked like Meng Yinshan just stood still and was hacked to death by Luli in 2 moves. Break out of the encirclement and retreat towards Shrine Master's side. Chun Yu suppressed the agitation in his heart and wiped away the tears in his eyes before quietly giving the order to retreat. He was a qualified hall master of battle and knew that they cannot continue to fight. Luli killing a super mighty figure of the God world had shocked everyone present. They must seize this opportunity to retreat behind Luli. This way, they would not drag Luli down and affect his performance. Shrine Master is mighty, mighty, kill. Chun Yu roared and led the troops to charge towards Luli. The remaining 10,000 over people of Massacre Shrine followed behind them like sharp swords. The Stella Mansion's soldiers at the front were badly frightened as they instinctively retreated to the sides. They did not dare to block the morale of the Massacre Shrine soldiers. The 10,000 over people easily broke out of the encirclement. Young Master Yu and Uncle Chong did not obstruct them. Meng Yin was still staring at the sky, full of flesh and blood. They did not care about the Massacre Shrine soldiers, as they only had Lu Li in their eyes. If they did not kill Lu Li, even if they killed all 10,000 over soldiers, it would be useless. Similarly, if they killed Lu Li, where could these 10,000 over soldiers escape to? After killing Meng Yinshan, Lu Li carried his demon slayer and walked towards the direction where the Massacre Shrine soldiers came from. He was wearing the sky-blue thunder armor. His face was grave and stern like a mountain. His eyes were as sharp as a knife, and there was even a faint red glow in his eyes, making him look like a god of death. Eighth brother. When the Massacre Shrine soldiers converged with Lu Li, Meng Yin let out a sorrowful roar. But he did not act impulsively and did not charge towards Lu Li stupidly. He was very clear that his own combat power was not much stronger than Meng Yinshan. Lu Li could kill Meng Yinshan in 2 moves. Killing him would not be a problem. He looked towards young Master Yu and Uncle Chong and said with a face filled with grief and indignation, "Young Master Yu, Lord Chong, please help 8th brother." Meng Yin's meaning was very clear. He requested Uncle Chong to join hands and kill Lu Li. He even vaguely reminded them that this matter was caused by young Master Yu, and they could not ignore it. Uncle Chong was slightly fearful. His mission was to protect Yu Linglong. Now that Lu Li possessed the combat power to kill a super powerful existence in the divinity, if young Master Yu was killed, it would be useless even if he cut Lu Li into pieces. "Chief Meng, don't worry." Before Uncle Chong could say anything, Yu Linglong said loudly, "Massacre Shrine took the initiative to provoke us first. Now that their shrine master even killed Grandpa Yinshan, how can we sit by and do nothing? Even if this matter is blown up to the Pan King residence, we are still in the right. Just now, he even said that he wanted to kill me. Humph! If I don't kill him, I will not rest." Yu Linglong's voice was very loud and resounded in the surroundings. All of the soldiers could hear it clearly, causing the soldiers on Massacre Shrine's side to be filled with righteous indignation. Yu Linglong was inverting black and white, pointing fingers at a deer and calling a horse. He had done evil and still wants to put the blame on others. "Retreat for 50 miles and form a formation to protect yourselves." Lu Li waved his hand and used an unquestionable tone to order Chunyu and the rest. He was very satisfied with what Chunyu did just now. With the people from Massacre Shrine retreating, he no longer had any worries and could use all of his methods to kill to his heart's content. Retreat. Chunyu did not dare to question Lu Li's order and immediately passed down the order. The army retreated quickly, but they did not retreat too far. They rushed to a small hill 50 miles away and started to form a defensive formation. Lu Li did not make any movements. After Chunyu and the rest retreated, he carried the Demon Slayer saber and walked forward step by step. He stared at Yu Linglong and said, "Young Master Yu of the Overlord residence, right? Do you think that no one dares to kill you because you have a supreme martial artist in the divinity as your grandfather? I will say it again, if I don't twist your head off and kick it like a ball, my surname is not Lu." One man and one saber facing tens of thousands of soldiers. The 2 super powerful existences in the divinity did not feel any fear. Instead, they felt that Lu Li was suppressing the tens of thousands of soldiers with his imposing manner. "Uncle Chong, kill him." Chapter 1484. Uncle Chong was hesitating. According to his principles, he should leave with young Master Yu and stay out of this. However, young Master Yu was so persistent that he was shouting hysterically. Uncle Chong didn't want to disgrace young Master Yu. What was more, young Master Yu's grandpa, Yu Qingtian, was a supreme warrior in the divinity. He was a well-known, powerful warrior at the entire Yuyan land. Uncle Chong believed that Luli would not dare to kill young Master Yu. Not even Pan Yuqin would have the guts to kill Yu Linglong, let alone Luli. Therefore, when Uncle Chong saw Yu Linglong's red eyes, he made up his mind and looked at Meng Yinyun, who was waiting for Uncle Chong to make a move. Seeing Uncle Chong, Meng Yinyun nodded. Whoosh! Almost at the same time, they dashed toward Luli from the left and right. Meng Yinyun even winked at some patriarchs from the divinity who ordered warriors from all sides to launch long-range attacks at Luli, trying to interfere with his judgment. Swish, swish, more than 10,000 people attacked at the same time. It was a magnificent scene, colorful and splendid. Many of the attacks were so powerful that they caused space to tremble. It was a frightening sight. Unfortunately, as soon as the attacks were within a mile and a half around Luli, they would slow down and disappear. They could not hurt Luli one bit. Luli walked on with the demon slayer in his hand. He kept his eyes on Uncle Chong, who was coming, and didn't even look at Meng Yinyun. To Luli, Meng Yinyun was not a threat. Uncle Chong was. Meng Yinyun felt she was being belittled. She took out a golden bow and pulled it. The space around her began to tremble. A black arrow appeared out of thin air and shot toward Luli like a bolt of lightning. The arrow was so fast that it was only a mile away. In an instant, it was only a mile and a half away from Luli. Still, Luli didn't look at Meng Yinyun. He waved his hand, and a surge of spatial force was released. The arrow slowed down by more than 10 times. Luli sped up and dodged the arrow easily. Point! On the other side, Uncle Chong made his move. He waved his walking stick forward. Hundreds of shadows of the walking stick appeared in the air and transformed into many brown dragons. All of them swarmed towards Luli. Hee, Luli smiled lightly. How horrifying were the swords transformed from the clouds and mist on the iron chain bridge. Uncle Chang's attack looked overbearing and terrifying, but he could easily suppress it with his spatial power. Uncle Chang's attack looked overbearing and terrifying, but he didn't feel any pressure. Luli waved his hand, and a surge of more horrifying spatial force came down. The hundreds of dragons slowed down when they were about a mile away from Luli. Luli himself sped up and dodged Uncle Chang's move. Boom, boom, boom. When Luli dashed over, the spatial force disappeared. Hundreds of yellowish dragons whooshed down and smashed into the ground. They left many pits on the ground, stirring up dust and covering the sky. It was a magnificent scene. The warriors around him were still pouring out all kinds of attacks. Luli felt like he was passing through a field of flowers without being touched by a single leaf. No matter how many attacks flew at him, they would slow down when they were half a mile away from him, and he could easily dodge them. Meng Yinyun and Uncle Chong looked at each other from afar. Both of them released 2 long-range attacks, but they couldn't do any damage to Luli. If they wanted to kill Luli, they would have to do it at close range. They looked at each other and communicated with their eyes. Then, they took actions at the same time. They flew toward Luli, one on the left and the other on the right. They wanted to kill Luli at once. Luli's spatial power was strong, but could he suppress 2 warriors at the same time? What was more, they noticed that Luli's spatial power could only cover a radius of half a mile. They were going to move closer to Luli and then launch a pincer attack. As long as their attacks could land on Luli, he would be killed even if he had a supreme relic armor. Good. Luli put on a smile when he saw the 2 of them coming at him from the left and the right like swords. Just now, he had limited the range of his spatial power to half a mile just to lure the 2 warriors out. As a matter of fact, his spatial power could cover an area with a radius of 3 miles. Of course, the closer the warrior was, the stronger the pressure would be. If the warrior was within 3 miles, the pressure would be too weak to contain 2 super mighty warriors in the divinity. 1.5 miles, 1.5 miles. Luli secretly calculated the distance between them. When the 2 of them were about half a mile away from each other, Luli stuck the slaughter god sword into the ground and waved his hands to the sides. An invisible force radiated to all directions and instantly enveloped an area with a radius of 2 miles. What? Uncle Chong and Meng Yinyun were taken aback. Meng Yinyun felt she could not move at all. Uncle Chong was fine. He could move, but his speed was slowed down. Hoi! The walking stick in Uncle Chang's hand glowed. It changed its shape into a spear. The spear was strange. It was divided into 4 parts, and each part was of a different color. The spearhead was of a different color, which made the spear look strange. Go to hell! Uncle Chong bellowed. He moved the spear and stabbed forward. Space was torn apart. Luli felt the spatial power was messed up. He could no longer suppress the 2 warriors. A sense of fatal danger emerged from the depth of Luli's soul. He had thought he could kill Uncle Chong and Meng Yinyun slowly after they were suppressed. But now it was too late. Uncle Chong was so powerful that he could break free from Luli's spatial power. Uncle Chong was only 3 miles away from Luli. For a powerful warrior, this distance could be crossed in an instant. At this critical moment, Luli made up his mind. 2 Wrath of Thunder appeared in his hands. He poured divine energy into them and detonated them. He threw them toward Uncle Chong and Meng Yinyun from both sides. Once the 2 Wrath of Thunder were thrown out, Luli's identity would be exposed. But he couldn't worry about that now. If he didn't take action now, he would be turned into a dead body the next second. It was too late to suppress with spatial power. The only thing he could save himself now was the Wrath of Thunder. What? Uncle Chong and Meng Yinyun's expressions changed drastically when they saw the 2 glowing elliptical spheres. Both of them were powerful warriors who had climbed out from a pile of corpses. Their instincts were strong. They sensed fatal danger in their souls. The only thing they could think of was to run. Swish, swish, the Wrath of Thunder exploded in midair. Thunderbolts swept across. Uncle Chong and Meng Yinyun were right next to the Wrath of Thunder. No matter how fast they were, how could they run away? In addition to them, the thunderbolts covered an area with a radius of 3 miles, including tens of thousands of warriors. What happened next was horrifying. Yu Linglong's body and soul were trembling. The tens of thousands of warriors were turned into ashes in an instant. Most of them didn't even have the time to scream. Several mighty warriors in the divinity were killed as well. As for Uncle Chong and Meng Yinyun, they didn't suffer the same fate. Uncle Chong was better. He managed to hold on for a while, and then he shouted in pain in the air. As for Meng Yinyun, she could only hold on for the time for a few breaths before she was charred and fell to the ground. Wrath of Thunder. Luli, young master, you suddenly came to his senses. The Wrath of Thunder was famous. Given his status, it was natural that he had heard of it. He had heard of Luli's deeds in the divinity as well. Therefore, he was terrified. This man was audacious. He dared to go against the craftsman's sect in the divinity. He even dared to kill the vice-clan master of warfare of the craftsman's sect. Young master, you might die here today. Run back to the overlord's mansion. After a moment of hesitation, young master, you flew downward, try to sneak away in the chaos. Chapter 1485. Every martial artist would encounter strong enemies in the process of growth, and they would encounter enemies that they could not deal with at all. Most people would choose to endure when encountering such a situation. They would choose to lay low and wait for the day when they became stronger to take revenge. There were also some who chose to settle debts of gratitude and enmity with great vigor. Even though they knew that they could not fight the enemy, they still chose to face the difficulties. This kind of person would either die very quickly or have heaven-defying luck, successfully overcoming difficulties time and time again. Clearly, Luli belonged to the latter. Whether it was in the mortal world or the divinity, Luli had chosen to rise to the challenge and deal with it later. Back in the Heaven Reverse universe, at first, he fought against the Samsara Palace. Later, he fought against the 9 universes. When he came to the divinity, he fought against the craftsman's sect. Every time, he risked his life and dragged the emperor down. Therefore, young Master Yu's decision was the right one. When Luli had nowhere to vent his anger, he would not care how powerful the overlord's mansion that young Master Yu was in was, or whether young Master Yu's grandpa was a supreme warrior in the divinity or how powerful he was. His decision was correct. But the problem was that Luli had been watching him. Luli said that he was going to twist off his head and kick it like a ball. How could he let him escape? Whoosh! Young Master Jade had just sneaked away when Luli rushed over like a gust of wind. Young Master Jade had made the wrong choice. If he had taken out the flying phoenix at once and run away openly, Luli might not have been able to catch up with him. He thought that Luli wasn't paying attention to him and decided to sneak away. Luli sped up to the top of his speed. He was not far away to begin with, so he soon closed the gap. Suppress. Luli's spatial energy could suppress an area with a radius of 3 miles. When he was 3 miles away from young Master Yu, Luli used his spatial energy to suppress young Master Yu. Young Master Yu, who was sneaking on in the distance, was slowed down. No. Young Master Yu was terrified. He looked back at Luli, who was running over, and said, Luli, you cannot kill me. My grandpa is Yu Qingtian, a supreme warrior in the divinity. My Yu family has followed the Pan-King manner for many years. If you kill me, you won't be able to live either. Luli didn't reply. His eyes were as cold as steel, like a beast that was about to devour someone. Young Master Jade felt cold all over. He didn't hesitate any longer. A jade talisman appeared in his hand, and he suddenly crushed it. This jade talisman was given to him by Yu Qingtian to protect his life. If he was in danger, Yu Qingtian would know immediately. If he was lucky and Yu Qingtian was not in seclusion, he would definitely come over immediately. His luck was pretty good. The winds and clouds above the 9 heavens suddenly changed, and the spiritual chi of heaven and earth gathered rapidly. Then, a blurry face condensed in midair. Distraction. Luli frowned in disgust. He had seen this several times, and he hated it when old bastards came and used their avatars to oppress others. That face was very blurry, but one could vaguely make out that it was a dignified old man. Although the face was blurry, one could feel that his eyes were exceptionally sharp, and no one dared to look directly at him. The moment this face appeared, a faint pressure spread out. The pressure was not heavy, but made people feel that it was irresistible and undefeatable. Grandfather! Yu Linglong was overjoyed to see this face. He shouted in surprise, Grandpa, this lunatic killed Uncle Chong and wants to kill me. Kill him now. To Yu Linglong, Yu Qingtian was the symbol of invincibility. As far as he was concerned, there was nothing that Yu Qingtian could not settle. Luli was just a nobody that Yu Qingtian could crush with one finger. Shut up. An old voice came. It was calm, but contained irresistible majesty. Yu Linglong didn't dare to say another word. He looked at the face in midair pitifully. A gentle breeze blew by. Luli felt a strong psychic power locked onto him. Soon, Yu Qingtian's voice came. My friend, I am Yu Qingtian of the Overlord's Mansion. Linglong doesn't know any better. Can you give me some face and spare his life? Given Yu Qingtian's status and power, many people would think that he was giving Luli face by saying this. A supreme warrior from the divinity was speaking in such a humble manner. Usually, people would be flattered and frightened. Luli snorted. Yu Linglong had robbed Qi Shi. To Luli, Yu Linglong was already a dead man. Why didn't Yu Qingtian show up when Yu Linglong was doing evil? Why didn't Yu Qingtian stop Yu Linglong and Uncle Chong from killing warriors of the massacre shrine at the Mansion of Stars? Why did he say that Yu Linglong was ignorant? If he spared Yu Linglong's life, who would spare his life? Luli didn't even need to think to know that Yu Qingtian would not let this go. After all, he killed 2 super mighty warriors of the Mansion of Stars and Uncle Chong. Mansion of Stars was an affiliated force of the Overlord's Mansion. Luli killing the 3 of them was equivalent to slapping Yu Qingtian's face. The more powerful a warrior was, the more they cared about their face. The bigger the force, the more they cared about their reputation. If Yu Qingtian didn't kill Luli, how could he raise his head in the land of Yuyan? He was speaking in such a humble manner, just to save Yu Linglong's life. Therefore, Luli didn't answer Yu Qingtian's words and continued to rush towards Yu Linglong. In midair, Yu Qingtian's eyes gradually turned cold. The murderous intent emitted from his face also became more intense. He said coldly, "My friend, leave a way out for others. You have the token of King Pan. Speaking of which, we are family. I have been following King Pan for many years." This sentence carried a lot of weight. Yu Qingtian stated his relationship with King Pan. If it was someone else, they would have been terrified. After all, in the southwest of the land of Yuyin, King Pan was a supreme being. Lu Li sneered to himself. Yu Qingtian was using King Pan to pressure him. Yu Qingtian didn't understand Lu Li's character. Lu Li was like a donkey. He wouldn't leave when pushed and would retreat when pushed. The more someone tried to pressure him, the more he would rebound. He stood in front of Yu Linglong for about a mile. At this distance, he could easily kill Yu Linglong, who was a mighty warrior of the divinity. Lu Li looked at the face in midair and said, "Mansion Master Yu, I won't talk nonsense with you. Your grandson kidnapped my younger sister and wanted to do something improper. Currently, my younger sister's life and death is still unknown. Over 10,000 people from our massacre shrine died. It is impossible for me to let your grandson off. I will give you two choices. Either I kill your grandson, or you come and kill me. Or I will cripple your grandson and spare his life. You can bring him back to discipline him. Other than that, you must swear an over God blood oath to never become enemies with me and Massacre Shrine." I did not do anything improper. Hearing that, Yu Linglong hurriedly explained, "Qi Shirer is fine. Right now, she is still locked up in the dungeon. I swear that I did not touch a single finger of hers. That day, Yu Linglong spoke too hastily. Originally, he wanted to say that he did not have the time to succeed that day. Luckily, he was not too stupid and managed to react in time. Lu Li looked at Yu Linglong coldly. Seeing that Yu Linglong did not lie, he heaved a sigh of relief. However, he did not have any thoughts of changing his mind. He looked at Yu Qingtian's blurry face, waiting for his decision. "Ha ha ha." Yu Qingtian laughed out loud. His laughter was filled with uncontrollable anger. He transmitted his voice over, "Good, good, good. Kid, I have been born for over 4,000 years now, and you are the first person to speak to me like this. Go ahead and kill me. I will treat it as if I don't have this grandson." Yu Qingtian was extremely furious. From his point of view, he had already given Lu Li a lot of face, but Lu Li did not know when to stop. He might not have said anything, but his meaning was very clear. If Lu Li dared to kill Yu Linglong, then it would be a situation where he would not rest until he was dead. Swish, swish. Replying to Yu Qingtian was the demon slayer, suddenly slashing at Yu Linglong. Two ripples of space spread out and reached Yu Linglong in an instant. Yu Linglong only had time to let out a scream before he was minced into a mist of blood which splattered all over the sky. After killing Yu Linglong, Lu Li's expression did not change at all. It was as easy as killing an ant. He raised his head and looked at the stunned face in midair and said indifferently, "Mansion Master Yu, as you wish." Chapter 1486. The entire place quieted down again. Everyone looked at the blood mist that filled the sky. What they felt wasn't shock, but fear. Many people were trembling as they were afraid that Yu Qingtian would kill everyone in his rage. The supreme warrior of the divinity had accumulated a lot of power. These immortals had lived for a long time. For so many years, in their impression, the supreme warrior of the divinity was the most powerful existence in the divinity. The will of the supreme warrior of the divinity could not be disobeyed. Nobody even dared to publicly slander the supreme warrior of the divinity, let alone slapping the supreme warrior of the divinity and killing his grandson. Everyone thought that Lu Li would definitely compromise with Yu Qingtian in the end. He just wanted to extort more benefits from Yu Linglong. Unless Lu Li was crazy, he would not kill Yu Linglong. Not only was Lu Li crazy, he was also very decisive in his killing. He killed Yu Linglong without saying a word and minced him into pieces. He didn't even leave a complete body. Lu Li was not nervous at all, but all the warriors present were much more nervous than him. Most of them were worried and terrified. Other than being nervous and terrified, The warriors of the massacre shrine were also secretly excited and delighted. Luli had done what they didn't dare to do. He had killed someone that they didn't dare to kill. Phew. All the warriors present looked at the face in midair. Their bodies and souls were trembling. Under the accumulated power of the supreme warrior of the divinity, they had forgotten that this was just an avatar and not Yu Qingtian himself. But even an avatar was horrifying. The skills that a supreme warrior of the divinity could master were unimaginable and terrifyingly powerful. It wasn't difficult for him to take someone's life from millions of miles away. Yu Qingtian was astonished as if he couldn't believe that his favorite grandson had died just like this. Just now, he said those words out of anger. He thought that Luli wouldn't dare to kill him. Unexpectedly, Luli killed Yu Linglong with a raise of his hand. Good. After the time for 10 breaths, Yu Qingtian shouted. His eyes were filled with murderous intent as he stared at Lu Li and shouted, "Little bastard, you are not bad. I rarely get angry for the past 1,000 years. You have successfully triggered my... All right, stop blabbering." Luli was too lazy to listen to this nonsense. He swung his demon slayer and slashed at the face in midair. 2 spatial ripples spread out and quickly arrived in front of the face. The powerful spatial distorting power immediately twisted the face into pieces. Before his face was minced into pieces, Luli said coldly, "Master Yu, I will wait for you to kill me. But once you do, the Overlord Mansion and I will be mortal enemies. I forgot to tell you that my real name is not Lu Lin. It is Luli." Bang! The face exploded in midair, which stunned everyone again. Luli was so fierce that he took the initiative to attack Yu Qingtian's avatar. Luli, some of them, in particular the remaining mighty warriors from the House of Stars, had heard of Luli, but they did not know the specifics of Luli. The Luli who dared to go against Craftsman's sect and the divinity? The one who killed Prefecture Master just now was Thunder God's fury? That's highly possible. Otherwise, why would he dare to kill Yu Linglong? Heavens, we actually provoked such a malefic star? Should we run away or surrender? If we run away, will he chase after us? The remaining tens of thousands of warriors from the House of Stars were in a panic. Meng Yinyun and Meng Yinshan were dead. Uncle Chong was dead. Yu Linglong was dead. And Yu Qingtian's avatar was shattered by Luli. If they did not do something, they would die miserably. Run! Some of them still decided to run away. At first, there were several thousand of them who scattered and ran to all directions. Gradually, more and more people followed suit. Some of them knelt on the ground and raised their weapons high, expressing their intention to surrender. Luli paid no attention to the kneeling warriors. He glanced over to the ones that were running away and dashed over. He was very fast, and soon he caught up with a large group of over 10,000 people. Suppress. Luli released spatial force and suppressed the 10,000 people. Then he released Space Twist and started a massacre. Originally, Luli did not have the hobby of massacring people. It was just that he was too angry this time. So many people from Massacre Shrine had died. If he did not massacre a batch, he would not be able to console their souls in heaven, nor would he be able to declare his fury to the various powers in the land of Yuyan. Since his identity had been exposed, and after today, the name Luli would spread throughout the land of Yuyan, then he must do something. Otherwise, in the future, everyone would be able to bully him. Over 10,000 people were killed in just dozens of breaths' time. The warriors of Massacre Shrine were all eager to give it a try. But without Lu Li's order, Chunyu did not dare to send out the army. Lu Li was having a good time killing, while Chunyu, Rongzheng, and the rest were filled with worry. It was fine to offend a high-grade power because they had the Lock of Dragons formation, which could withstand the attacks from the super-powerful beings in the divinity realm. Would Massacre Shrine be able to survive after offending a super-grade power? Furthermore, Yu Qingtian was a famous supreme warrior in the land of Yuyan. Chunyu and the rest did not know. Right now, they could only wait for Lu Li to finish killing. Soon, Lu Li slaughtered over 10,000 people. Some of the warriors from the Mansion of Stars escaped, but most of them stayed behind. They knelt on the ground with their weapons raised. They were frightened by Luli. Luli was very fast. If he wanted to chase after them, most of them would not be able to escape. If so, they might as well surrender obediently. This way, they would have a higher chance of survival. Luli stopped killing. He glanced at the tens of thousands of people kneeling on the ground and said coldly, "Leave your weapons and interspatial rings behind. All of you get lost." Bang, bang, bang. Many warriors immediately threw down their interspatial rings and interspatial weapons and ran away. Inside the interspatial rings were their accumulation over the years. There were treasures and divine sources that they had painstakingly obtained. But if they lost their lives, no amount of treasures would be of any use. Therefore, many of them were sensible and ran away immediately. In just the time for 2 incense sticks to burn, the tens of thousands of people were gone. Luli waved at Chinyu and said, "Chinyu, clean up the battlefield." Swish, swish, swish. Chinyu came with his army at once. Many warriors were filled with excitement. There were interspatial rings and weapons everywhere. They had made a killing this time. Luli flew up and dashed toward the Mount of Stars. Almost everyone on the mountain was gone except for a maid and some old and weak warriors who didn't want to run. Luli paid no attention to them. He used psychic power to check the castles. Soon, he found a dungeon. There were inhibition formations in the dungeon. He let out the immortal's body and cracked the inhibition formations easily. He used psychic power to check, and soon, he found a small room. The inhibition formations in the room were not strong. Luli sent his psychic power in. The room was dimly lit. A beautiful girl was sitting in the corner, hugging her knees. Her face was pale, and she was trembling. There were traces of tears in her eyes. Bang! Luli rushed over and punched at the door. The inhibition formations in the room were not strong. Luli cracked them open easily. The door was opened, and the light came in. The girl squinted and then looked at the door in terror. When she saw the face that had haunted her dreams, her delicate body trembled violently. Her cherry lips opened and closed a few times, but no words came out. "Girl!" Chapter 1487. Qi could not believe it was him until she heard Lu Li's voice. She forced herself not to cry. She jumped up and threw herself into Lu Li's arms. She held on to him as if she was afraid that Lu Li would disappear the next second. Tears poured down from her eyes. She was trembling. After the time for half an incense stick to burn, she looked up at Lu Li and asked, "Brother, is it really you?" Looking at the beautiful and exquisite face right in front of him, Lu Li felt that God was really good to Qi. Qi was almost as beautiful as Lu Ling, almost flawless. It was just that her temperament and temperament were different. Qi was more feminine and more classical. Even though he was being held by a young and delicate body, Lu Li did not feel any lust. Instead, he felt even more sorry for her. He really saw Qi as his sister. He wiped away her tears and said, "It is me. I am back. I will never leave you behind again. I promise." The more Lu Li wiped Qi's tears, the more she cried. Lu Li sighed. Women really were made of water. He smiled and said, "Girl, don't cry. You won't be pretty if you cry. There are many things waiting for me out there." "Okay, soon." Qi stopped crying. Lu Li comforted her and let her go. But Qi was still holding onto his arm, fearing that he would disappear again. Lu Li patted her arm with a smile and walked out with her. Qi was fine, which calmed his anger down. He put on a solemn expression and began to think about how to deal with the aftermath. He had killed Meng Yinshan, Meng Yinyun, Yu Ling Long, and killed tens of thousands of warriors of the House of Stars. He had vented his anger and felt good. That being said, he had created endless trouble. One wrong move, and everyone would die. Supreme warrior in the divinity. Lu Li could fight against a super mighty warrior in the divinity, but not a supreme warrior in the divinity. He couldn't count on Pan Yuqin either. Even King Pan had to show respect to supreme warriors in the divinity. Lu Li had slapped King Pan's face so hard and the hatred was so deep that not even Pan Yuqin could help. Lu Li, on the other hand, was not worried about himself. He could fly in the void. Worst came to worst. He could roam the world with Qi Shi'er and find a place to hide. The problem is what to do with so many people from Massacre Shrine. Over 10,000 people from Massacre Shrine were killed, and there are still over 10,000 people left. How is it possible for him to bring them away? Take them to the ends of the earth. Yuqing Tian could easily catch up with them and kill them all. Walking out, there are Massacre Shrine soldiers everywhere. They're starting to loot Star Mansion, taking out all of the valuable things in Star Mansion and piling them on the plaza. Lu Li brings Qi Shi'er outside. When Qi Shi'er sees that Massacre Shrine's army actually defeated Stellar Mansion, she instantly looks at Lu Li with a face full of worship. Lu Li didn't pay attention to Qi Shi'er. He just grabbed her hand to give her some warmth to calm her down. After the Massacre Shrine soldiers have been busy for over 2 hours emptying Star Mansion, he let Xinyu gather the soldiers of Star Mansion. Greetings, Home Master. Over 10,000 people knelt down on one knee. Although many of them are apprehensive, they are sincerely convinced by Lu Li, especially when a lot of them had heard of Lu Li's legendary stories in the divinity realm. They are proud to follow a boss like Lu Li. Brothers. Lu Li swept a glance at everyone and said solemnly, "All of you have seen what happened today. I, Lu Li, am deeply ashamed of the death of over 10,000 shrine members. As the Hall Master, I am duty-bound. Yuling Long is already dead, and I do not regret it. But from today onwards, Massacre Shrine will be disbanded. Xinyu, distribute all of the spiritual materials and treasures here to everyone. Everyone can disperse and escape. I will go and distract the attention of the Overlord Mansion, giving everyone enough time to escape. In the future, if I, Lu Li, am able to rise up and take on the Overlord Mansion, if everyone is willing to follow me, I will rebuild Massacre Shrine and welcome everyone back anytime." Just now, Lu Li made a decision. Currently, Massacre Shrine cannot be left behind. Otherwise, everyone will die. Disperse everyone and let them escape from the southwest region. It is impossible for the Overlord Mansion to chase into the territories of the other God Kings. The major powers that will also not sit by and do nothing. Hall Master. When Xinyu heard that, he became anxious and immediately shouted sorrowfully, "Hall Master, my life belongs to Hall Master. Wherever Hall Master goes, I will follow. Hall Master, don't abandon me. Hall Master, we are willing to advance and retreat with you, to live and die together." Many veteran disciples of Massacre Shrine followed and shouted with determination in their eyes. Although they had not followed Lu Li for long, Lu Li treated them really well. For example, if it was not for Lu Li providing so many materials and god steels for Xinyu, how could he have broken through to the divinity realm so quickly? Enough. Lu Li waved his hand domineeringly. "I have decided. Xinyu, carry out my orders. Distribute the materials and leave a portion for Zhao Shi and the brothers who stay behind at Kunlun Mountain. After that, all of you immediately scatter and escape. I can only delay for a month. All of you should escape as far as you can." "Hall Master," Xinyu shouted sorrowfully, and his voice was choked with sobs. Lu Li's expression was like iron, and he did not have any intention of softening his heart. Xinyu had no choice but to stand up and get busy. This time, they had obtained a lot of spoils of war, especially the interspatial rings of the tens of thousands of Stellar Mansion warriors. There were a large amount of divine source, materials, and treasures inside. In addition, the treasury of the Stellar Mansion was also filled with mountains of treasures and materials. How could the accumulation of a high-rank force be belittled? Even though there were over 10,000 people on Massacre Shrine's side, after distributing the loot, everyone had obtained a large amount of divine source, materials, and treasures. After distributing the loot for over 2 hours, Qi Shi'er had been standing quietly by Lu Li's side. When the loot was almost distributed, she looked at Lu Li weakly. "Brother, you have chased them away. What about me? Are you going to chase me away as well?" "No." Lu Li smiled. I will bring you away. Follow me to roam the world. Okay. Chi smiled sweetly and did not ask anything. To her, as long as she could follow Lu Li, it did not matter where she went. Even if she went to hell, with Lu Li by her side, she would not be afraid. Okay, let's go. After distributing the loot, Lu Li waved his hand. Chunyu and the rest did not leave immediately. Instead, they stood there in silence and looked at Lu Li without saying a word. The expressions in their eyes were complicated. Some were confused, some were worried, and of course, most of them were reluctant to part. After all, the martial world was a long journey. They might not have the chance to see Lu Li again in this lifetime. Ha ha ha. Lu Li laughed out loud. He glanced around and said, "You are all men. How can you be so wishy-washy? Lu Li, am not going to die. Maybe in 3 to 5 years, I will destroy the Overlord Mansion. By then, let's gather at the Overlord City. If you're not leaving, then I will leave first. Brothers, see you again. Let's go." Lu Li grabbed Chi Shio's arm with one hand, leaped up, and flew down the mountain. Chunyu and the rest turned around. Chunyu got down on one knee with over 10,000 people. "Farewell, Grandmaster. Take care." "Farewell, Grandmaster. Take care." Chapter 1488. In just a few days, the news of what happened at Stellar Mountain spread throughout the entire southwest region of Yuyanland. Massacre Shrine's army came to Stellar Mountain in a grandiose manner, alarming all the nearby powers. All the powers sent out scouts to hide in the vicinity. The entire battle, including the situation where Yu Qingtian's avatar was minced by Lu Li, was clearly seen by the scouts. 3 super powerful experts of the divinity realm died. Tens of thousands of people from Stellar Mansion were massacred. Yu Linglong was killed, and Yu Qingtian's avatar was minced. These were all earth-shattering matters. How could it not spread quickly? The news spread like a rolling snowball. In an instant, it spread throughout the entire southwest region of Yuyanland. All the powers in the southwest region, including Panwang City, were in an uproar. Although Yuyanland was in constant war, it had been a long time since such an explosive matter had happened. It was not a big matter for tens of thousands of people from Stellar Mansion to die. It was also not a big matter for 3 super powerful experts from the divinity realm to be killed. The crucial thing was that Lu Li killed Yu Linglong in front of Yu Qingtian's avatar, and even Mince's avatar. This was the real big matter. Very soon, news spread. It was said that a furious roar came from Heaven Tyrant King City, causing a lot of people to go deaf. Following which, Yu Qingtian soared into the sky and flew towards the northeast, disappearing without a trace. Overlord Mansion started to mobilize their army. 2 days ago, their army had already left the city. A total of 200,000 experts were charging towards Kunlun Mountain with killing intent. Overlord Mansion still had 9 super powerful experts in the divinity realm. Other than leaving behind 2 to hold down the fort, the rest of them were mobilized. This time, it seemed like Overlord Mansion was furious to the extreme. If they did not destroy Massacre Shrine and kill Lu Li, they would not withdraw their army. Lu Li. This name quickly spread throughout the southwest region of Yuyanland. Thunder God's fury was too famous. Lu Li also introduced himself. A lot of people who had some understanding of the situation in the divinity realm immediately knew of Lu Li's identity. The things that Lu Li did in the divinity realm spread, and the southwest region became bustling. It had been many years since anyone dared to challenge a superpower in Yuyanland. This time, the challenger was a famous fierce person in the divinity realm. Back then, Lu Li dared to go against Craftsman's sect. Now that he went against Overlord Mansion, what would be the outcome? Everyone was looking forward to it. Yu Qingtian was here in person, and the Overlord's Mansion had 200,000 warriors. Could Lu Li survive Yu Qingtian's attack? No one could predict what the final outcome would be. Bang! In the Lord Pan Palace, Pan Yuqin, who had always been good-tempered, smashed a cup. Yi Kai, who was kneeling on the ground, was terrified. Pan Yuqin had always been good-tempered since she was a child. This was the first time she had been so angry. Young miss, please calm down. It's all my fault. Ye Kai bowed deeply and said with a terrified expression, I went to the rear courtyard to ask to see you, but was stopped by the guards. They said that without the Pan King's orders, they could not disturb you, so, fool. Pan Yuqin's pretty face turned gloomy, and she coldly said, Didn't I give you a jade talisman? Don't you know to crush it to remind me? Ye Kai's mouth twitched as he explained with some guilt. Subordinate thought that Luli would not be able to come out. Small massacre shrine. Young lady is at the crucial moment of her closed-door cultivation. Since I had disturbed young lady's closed-door cultivation, then Ye Kai can only apologize with death. I didn't expect that Luli would come out in time and cause such a scene. Pan Yuqin snorts heavily as she frowns. After a long time, she sighs, I bestowed the Pan King token to Lu Li and the Pan King banner to Massacre Shrine because I did not wish for something like Stellar Mountain to happen. I didn't expect that idiot Yuling Long would dare to touch Qi Shi'er. You have not studied Lu Li's information. Lu Li's character is like this. If the young masters of the Pan King's residence dare to touch Qi Shi'er, he will not have any scruples and will kill them first. This time, we are in big trouble. Ye Kai blinked his eyes and said, What trouble? Can Lu Li stand against Yu Qing Tian? Lu Li will either be killed or have to run away. It will not affect the Pan King's residence. Could it be that young lady wants to recruit Lu Li into the Pan King's residence? I can't recruit him. Pan Yuqin shook her head and said, Lu Li is arrogant and unruly. He will never join the Pan King's residence. I am worried that the entire southwest region will not be able to settle down because of him. Once the Overlord's residence cannot suppress him, Grandpa will naturally come out to suppress him. By then, things will be irreversible. I once used the divination skill to tell Lu Li's fortune, and it shows that he has a life of fire, which is rare. What is a life of fire? Ye Kai didn't know much about this, so he asked in confusion. Fire, that is the hottest kind of fire. Pan Yuqin sighed. While pacing around, she said, This kind of fire is the most powerful. He will either burn others or destroy himself. That is to say, Lu Li will either die a glorious death or burn all his enemies and dominate the world. Even if he dies a glorious death, those who want to kill him will be burned by his fire. That's strong. Ye Kai clearly didn't believe it. He asked with doubt, Lu Li is not that strong, is he? It is hard to say if he can survive the encirclement of the Overlord's residence. How can he be a threat to the Pan King's residence? What do you know? Pan Yuqin glanced at Ye Kai and said, How many years has it been since Lu Li ascended? When he entered the Palace of Ghost, he was not even a mighty warrior in the divinity. It has only been a few years, and he can already kill super mighty warriors in the divinity. The more this man tries to suppress him, the faster he can fight back. The stronger he is. In a few decades, it will not be difficult for him to become a supreme warrior in the divinity. By then, not even my grandpa will be able to stop him. Once the Pan King's residence becomes enemies with him, it will be a disaster for the Pan King's residence. That's serious? Ye Kai still couldn't believe it. He had lived for more than 1,000 years. He knew very well that when a warrior reached a certain realm, it would be extremely difficult for him to improve his abilities. Even if Lu Li could reach the level of a super mighty warrior in the divinity, the possibility of him becoming a supreme warrior in the divinity was still too low. What was more, even if he did, could he pose a threat to the Pan King's residence? Ever since the first Pan King killed Master Ghost and ascended to the throne, the Pan King's residence had been standing on this land for 1,000,000 years. Over the course of history, there were some supreme warriors in the divinity who wanted to replace the Pan King's residence. But this city had always been called the Pan King City. Ye Kai was in the middle level of the Pan King's residence, and he knew some secrets. He knew that the Pan King's residence could stand the southwest of the Yuyan Pass, not only because of the powerful abilities of the previous Pan Kings, but also because there were many things that were not known to outsiders. Report. While Ye Kai was still in shock, a warrior rushed in. He dropped to one knee in front of Pan Yuqin and reported, Just now, there is news from the Overlord city. Luli suddenly showed up in the city and killed 2 patriarchs of the Yu family who stayed behind. Then he went on a killing spree. It is said that more than half of the powerful warriors and disciples of the Yu family were killed by him. Ah! Ye Kai's cloudy eyes suddenly turned cold, and his face was filled with shock. Yu Qingtian had led the army to encircle and kill Lu Li, but he didn't expect that Lu Li would come to him and destroy the headquarters of the Yu family. This young master really was of the fire attribute. He was unyielding and cruel. Anyone who wanted to kill him would have to endure his crazy counterattack first. Chapter 1489. Things have indeed gotten out of hand. Pan Yuqin frowned. She once collected information about Lu Li. The Pan King's residence had many scouts hidden in the divine world. It was too easy for them to gather some information. Lu Li was as unyielding as the legends said. If you were friends with him, he would treat you wholeheartedly. Once you became his enemy, he would become merciless. It didn't matter who you were, he would not be afraid. He would kill you first. The Overlord Manor was one of the major powers under the banner of the Pan King Manor. Although the 9 great divine kings did not forcibly occupy their territory, it would be bullshit to say that they did not have any subsidiary powers. The other god kings were the same. They maintained neutrality on the surface, but in reality, most of the transcendent grade organizations within their sphere of influence were their subsidiary organizations. How could he allow someone else to snore at the side of his bed? If it wasn't a subsidiary force, why would the 9 great divine kings allow a transcendent rank force to exist? If they were allowed to develop as they wished, they would definitely find a way to replace them. On the surface, Overlord Manor seemed to be on good terms with Pan King Manor, but in reality, they were just a subsidiary faction of Pan King Manor. Things were getting out of hand. Once the Overlord's mansion could not kill Lu Li, they would ask for help from the Overlord's mansion. If the Weaver King did not help, it would chill the hearts of the subsidiary factions. How would they follow the Weaver King in the future? Once Master Pan got involved, given Lu Li's character, his relationship with the mansion of Master Pan would be strained. They might even become hostile. This was something Pan Yuqin didn't want to see. She once told Lu Li's fortune with the art of divination. It was better not to make an enemy out of a person like this. I'm going to see Grandpa. After thinking for a while, Pan Yuqin walked outside. After passing through many courtyards, she entered a huge castle. Standing in the main hall, she bowed and said, Yuqin greets Grandpa. There was no one in the hall, but soon a gentle voice rang out. Qin girl, what's the matter? Pan Yuqin said solemnly, Grandpa, it is about Lu Li. I wonder if you have used the divination skill on him? No. The voice quickly replied, Why? Have you read his fortune? This person has been causing quite a ruckus recently. Pan Yuqin nodded and said, I just received news that he went to Hegemen City and killed 2 elders of the Yu family and slaughtered many of their disciples. He could fly through the void and come and go without a trace. It would be very difficult for you Qingtian to kill him. Grandfather, this person is Yanhua's life. We are friends. Pan Yuqin nodded subtly. She naturally hoped that the Pan monarch wouldn't go to war. Otherwise, the situation would be irreversible. Pan Wang was silent. After the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, he replied, I got it. Tell him to stop messing around. Thank you, Grandpa. A smile appeared on Pan Yuqin's face, and the entire hall seemed to light up. She knew that Master Pan had done her a favor. If Lu Li didn't make more trouble, Master Pan could pretend that he didn't know about this. Even if Yu Qingtian came to him, Master Pan wouldn't show up. Pan Yuqin bowed and left. She asked someone to look for Lu Li with her handwritten letter. She did not know where Lu Li was. Lu Li could teleport. Unless a large number of scouts from the Prince of Pan's mansion were mobilized, it would be hard to find him. The news of Overlord City quickly spread. This time, not only in the southwest, but also in the entire land of Yuyan. Lu Li's various matters in the divinity were also spread. Lu Li's strange skills and ferocity shocked many people. Yuan Yu of the Heaven-Breaching Palace was especially frightened. Back then, she wanted to kill Lu Li, but she didn't expect Lu Li to be so powerful. If Lu Li went on a killing spree back then, the Heaven-Breaching Palace wouldn't exist anymore. Yu Qingtian was about to reach Mount Xingchun. When he received the news, he flew into a rage. He didn't hurry back to Overlord City. Instead, he went to Kunlun Mountain. He wishes to kill all of the people from Massacre Shrine to vent the anger in his heart. However, when he arrived at Kunlun Mountain, he realized that the warriors of Massacre Shrine were all gone. There wasn't a single person on Kunlun Mountain. Even the old man guarding the mountain was gone. When Yu Qingtian went to look for warriors from other forces to inquire about the news, he found out that Massacre Shrine had already disbanded. All of them had run away, and it was very difficult to chase after them. Yu Qingtian could only turn back in rage. At the same time, he ordered his men to spread out the army of 100,000 to search for Lu Li. After finding Lu Li, he ordered his men not to make a move, but to report immediately. He even ordered his men to send a message to the Pan King's residents and the major forces in the southwest region, requesting for their help to search for Lu Li. As long as they could help him kill Lu Li, he, Yu Qingtian, would owe them a favor. How important was a favor from a supreme warrior in the divinity? Many warriors were tempted, and so were many major forces. However, none of the major forces dared to make a move. That was because Lu Li was like a bloodthirsty lone wolf. If anyone were to provoke him, he would definitely bite off a piece of flesh. The most crucial thing was not Lu Li's combat strength, but his ability to cross the void. This ability could allow him to cross multiple prefectures in one go. Even a supreme warrior in the divinity would not be able to catch up. Lu Li had crossed the void for over a dozen times and was able to circle around the land of Yuyan. No matter how fast Yu Qingtian was, he would not be able to catch up. A favor from a supreme warrior in the divinity might be precious, but if he were to implicate himself and cause his forces to suffer a calamity, the gains would not make up for the losses. They had to give face to Yu Qingtian. Therefore, all the major forces pretended to send out some of their men to wander around the world. Even the Pan King's residents sent out thousands of scouts to search for Lu Li. However, it was clear that the Pan King's residence was doing this perfunctorily. That was because the most formidable scout of the Pan King's residence was the Ghost Division and not the thousands of scouts that were sent out. The Ghost Division was the hidden force of the Pan King's residence. If they were to move out, the Pan King's residence would know anything that happened in the entire southwestern region. The 100,000-strong army of the Overlord's residence spread out like a fishing net, searching for Lu Li's movements all over the world. That day, after Lu Li massacred the Overlord's residence, he crossed the void and disappeared. Until now, his whereabouts were still unknown. With 100,000-strong army and the scouts sent out by the major forces, the southwestern region was filled with people. It was a pity that after searching for 5 days, there was no trace of Lu Li. However, they did find some warriors from the Massacre Shrine. On the 7th day, Lu Li appeared again. He appeared in a spirit mountain thousands of miles to the west of the Overlord's residence. There was a huge mine there, which belonged to the Overlord's residence. There were also thousands of troops stationed there. Lu Li suddenly appeared outside the mine and instantly destroyed the formation outside the mine. He used the power of space to suppress the thousands of troops. In just a dozen breaths' time, he killed all of them. Lu Li had the cloaking armor, and ordinary scouts would not be able to discover him. Even if the leader of the scouts was a mighty warrior in the divinity, it was useless. Unless Lu Li's luck was extremely bad and he met a super mighty warrior in the divinity, then he would be discovered. How many super mighty warriors were there in the divinity? Right now, there were only 7 from the Overlord's residence left. Besides, even if they met a super mighty warrior in the divinity, it was too easy for Lu Li to kill him. After Yu Qingtian received the news, there was no longer any anger on his face. Instead, he was filled with grievance. He had powerful combat strength, but he could not do anything. Chapter 1490. After the massacre, Lu Li flew away again. It was not that he wanted to wipe out the Overlord's mansion. He just wanted to distract them so that the warriors of the massacre shrine could escape. When he came out, he saw a mountain below him. There were some wild beasts in the mountain, but they were not powerful. He snuck down at once and wandered around nearby. The world was filled with scouts looking for him. He knew this very well. Therefore, his whereabouts must not be exposed. Otherwise, it would be easy for Yu Qingtian to sneak up to him and kill him. Once a supreme warrior from the divinity got close, he would not even have the time to fly away. After making sure that there were no scouts lurking around, he snuck into the distance. After moving stealthily for a few hundred miles, he even took a detour back. He circled the area dozens of times before he finally found a small cave and hid inside. He set up some inhibition formations nearby and took out the wicked bead to check. He found that Qi Shi was cultivating in the wicked bead and Little White was sleeping soundly. Lu Li nodded. He sat with his legs crossed and began to cultivate. He planned to leave after 2 or 3 more times. After half a month, almost all the warriors of the massacre shrine would have left. It was quiet here. It was a vast wilderness with wild beasts roaming around. Not many people would come here. 5 days had passed. Only one team of scouts passed by. Lu Li was wearing the cloaking armor, so the average scouts would not be able to find him. Let's wait for 3 more days. Then I will go and attack the Mansion of Divinity. Lu Li took a look at the map and made up his mind. The Mansion of Divinity was an affiliated force of the Overlord's Mansion. The Overlord's Mansion had several mines, but Lu Li did not plan to attack them. What if Yu Qingtian was hiding in one of the mines? Wouldn't he be courting death? Buzzing, another 3 days passed. When Lu Li was about to set off, he heard a noise coming from outside. A flying wand whooshed over. The ring on Lu Li's hand glowed as he took out the fury of thunder at once. When the flying wand stopped above the mountain, Lu Li had begun to draw formation. He was ready to fly away at any time. "Young Master Lu, it is me." A soft voice came out. Then, the flying wand disappeared in midair. A pretty girl flew out and landed slowly. Lu Li used psychic power to make sure that there was no one nearby. He relaxed a bit and put away the wrath of the Thunder God. There were not many people he could trust in the land of Yuyin, and Pan Yuqin was one of them. He got up and slowly walked outside without any vigilance. When he was outside, he cupped his hands and said, "Hello, Miss Qin. I haven't seen you for a few years, but you are still as elegant as ever." Hee. Pan Yuqin forced a smile. She glared at Lu Li angrily. Her flirtatious look made Lu Li's heart skip a beat. She pressed her lips and said, "Young Master Lu, when the Jade Dragon kidnapped Shi, I was at a critical moment in closed-door cultivation. Zhao Shi went to ask Yi Kai for help, but Yi Kai didn't dare disturb me. I was indeed at fault in this matter, but we don't have to be so distant, right?" Lu Li knew that Zhao Shi went to the King Pan city, but he didn't blame Pan Yuqin. Pan Yuqin takes the initiative to explain, and the ill feelings in his heart disappear. He smiles faintly and says, "This matter is not Miss Qin's fault. For Miss Qin to bestow Massacre Shrine with a Pan-King banner and protect Massacre Shrine for 7 years, this Lu is already very grateful." Pan Yuqin put on a smile. She didn't wear a veil. Her smile was like flowers blooming. Lu Li's eyes glowed as he asked with curiosity, "How did you find me here, Miss Qin?" He was confident that no scouts had checked on him recently. Could it be that Pan Yuqin had the ability to predict the future? Or could it be that the best scouts from the King Pan Mansion had been sent out, but he didn't sense any scouts? "Young Master Lu, don't worry," Pan Yuqin said with a gentle smile. "I can find you because I used the divination skill. Young Master Lu's hiding skill is very good. Even if all the scouts from the King Pan Mansion were to be sent out, it would be hard for them to find you." Lu Li nodded and then asked, "What brings you here, Miss Qin?" Lu Li's subtext was too obvious. If Pan Yuqin was here to recruit him, then she didn't need to say anything. He would not join the King Pan Mansion. Pan Yuqin walked over. A fragrance spread out. She stood in front of Lu Li, turned around, and said to the Overlord's mansion, "Lu Li, let's stop here." The situation will be out of control if you keep this up. Lu Li raised his eyebrows and asked, I can stop. Can you, Qin Tian? Naturally, he won't give up, Pan Yuqin explained. But if you go on like this, the King Pan Mansion will not sit by and do nothing. I can help you find a quiet place to cultivate. Later, we can find a chance to mediate and resolve the grudge. Ha ha ha. Lu Li laughed and said, Resolve the grudge? Could this still be resolved? I killed Yu Linglong and so many warriors of the Overlord's mansion. How can it be resolved? If you want to help you, Qin Tian, then you will have to make an enemy out of me. If you wanted to help, the King Pan would have done a long time ago. Pan Yuqin looked at Lu Li with hidden bitterness and said, Why am I here? I just don't want to lose you as a friend. Can't you put up with it for the sake of Yuqin? Lu Li was a typical person who could be persuaded by reason, but not cowed by force. Pan Yuqin looked at him with hidden bitterness, and Lu Li's heart softened. After a moment of silence, he said, Okay, I will stop. You don't have to arrange a place for me either. I am not used to living off a woman. The world is so big. How can there not be a place for me? Lu Li. Living off a woman. This was the second time Lu Li had mentioned this. Pan Yuqin was even more upset. She looked at Lu Li with mixed feelings and said, I would like to keep you as a pet. Too bad you are a wild horse, and I cannot tame you. Lu Li was taken aback by Pan Yuqin's bold and unreserved words. Pan Yuqin regretted it as soon as she said it. Her pretty face blushed as she looked into the distance. Her eyes were glistening, and she was so shy. Ha ha ha. Pan Yuqin was shy while Lu Li laughed. He looked at Pan Yuqin with ridicule and said, Lady Qin, how about I raise you? Even though the massacre shrine is disbanded, I can still raise you. Can you afford it? Pan Yuqin stared at Lu Li angrily and said in a fit of pique, I have to spend hundreds of millions of divine sources a year to cultivate. You don't have any assets now. Do you want me to starve with you? Ha ha ha. Lu Li laughed again and said, Don't bully the old. Life is full of ups and downs. Give me 30 years, and I may be able to conquer a picturesque world. One day, when I conquer the divinity and become an emperor, you will be a concubine. How about it? Don't you want to think about it? Chapter 1491. Pan Yuqin left. Lu Li promised her that he would not go to the Overlord's mansion again. He thought about it and flew toward the northeast. He was ready to leave the southwest of the land of Yuyan for now. As long as he left, he could calm down the southwest of the land of Yuyan and make Yu Qin Tian stop. Yu Qin Tian would not send an army to the territories of other immortal kings to hunt him down. Lu Li's soul was strong now. He didn't feel weak after flying across the void for more than a dozen times. Since he had decided to leave, there was no need to hide. He flew across the void again and again. Every time he showed up, he would show himself and let others see him on purpose. He was trying to tell Yu Qin Tian that he was gone and that he shouldn't think about hunting him down. The fourth time he flew across the void, Lu Li happened to be near a top-rank force which he was familiar with. It was the Heaven-Breaching Palace. There were patrolling warriors outside the Heaven-Breaching Valley, and they all knew Lu Li. Back in the days, Lu Li spent many days in the Heaven-Breaching Valley to build the Dragon Lock Formation. Lu Li's appearance scared the warriors. They thought he was here for revenge. Many signal detonators were sent up. A golden shield lit up above the Heaven-Breaching Valley. It was the Dragon Lock Formation built by Lu Li. Lu Li grinned when he saw so many warriors flying up. Suddenly, he thought of a mischievous idea. He walked toward the Heaven-Breaching Valley slowly. His eyes under the mask were filled with murderous intent. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. More warriors flew up from the city wall, as if they were facing a formidable enemy. Soon, Yuan Shangchang and several patriarchs came as well. They stood on the city wall and stared at Lu Li, who was filled with murderous intent. They were worried. When Lu Li arrived at the city wall, Yuan Yuyu showed up. It had been years since they last met. Yuan Yuyu's looks hadn't changed much. She stared at Lu Li, who was standing at the foot of the city wall, at his tall and strong body. Her eyes flickered as she said, Grandmaster Lu, How have you been? What brings you to the heaven-breaching valley? Luli looked into Yuan Yuyu's eyes. He said coldly, Master Yuan, I am here to collect some interest. Swish, 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 everyone's expressions changed. Clearly, Luli was here to stir up trouble. Several patriarchs turned to the Dragonlock formation, hoping that it could stop Luli. Ha ha. Luli sneered. He was the one who built the formation. How could these idiots expect it to stop him? He shot out a few streams of godly power from his hand, and the 10,000 dragons' sky lock grand formation glowed for a moment before disappearing in midair. Ugh! The faces of the elders turned completely pale. A long sword appeared in Yuan Yuyu's hand. After thinking for a moment, she put it away. It had not been long since she became a super mighty warrior in the divinity. She knew that she was weaker than Meng Yanshan. If Luli wanted to kill her, fighting back would be futile. Luli had killed 3 super mighty warriors in the divinity at Mount Stellar and 2 more at the Overlord City. As far as Yuan Yuyu was concerned, Luli was a powerful warrior. She waved her hand and ordered, Everyone is dismissed. I want to talk to Palace Master Lu alone. Palace Master, the elders were anxious. If Yuan Yuyu was killed, then the Palace of Heavenly Palace would be doomed. Yuan Yuyu waved her hand and said with determination, Go. The elders had to leave in embarrassment. Yuan Yuyu flew down from the city wall and stopped in front of Lu Li. She bowed and said, I know I am in the wrong. I have done something wrong. I will not complain no matter how you punish me, Grandmaster Lu. Smart, Lu Li exclaimed to himself. Yuan Yuyu did not become the master of the Palace of Heavenly Palace solely because of her father. She was a great figure herself. Lu Li grinned a mocking smile. He glanced over Yuan Yuyu's body and said, You can punish me in any way you want. Yes. Yuan Yuyu nodded with shame and said, I will do anything as long as Grandmaster Lu can calm down. Good. Lu Li cheered. His eyes became even more evil. He said, Take off your clothes first. Take them off? Yuan Yuyu had a bad premonition from the beginning. When she heard this, her body trembled. Her lips trembled as she asked, Here? Grandmaster Lu, how about we go into the palace? No. Lu Li waved his hand domineeringly and said, Here? I like the more exciting scenes. Of course, you can say no, but you will have to bear the consequences. Lu Li's tone and attitude were extremely domineering. Yuan Yuyu was ashamed and angry. Lu Li wanted to have sex with her here? In front of so many disciples of the Palace of Heavenly Palace? If he did that, then she would lose her position as the Grandmaster. Even though no one was on the city wall, many disciples of the Palace of Heavenly Palace were checking with psychic power. How could she face the disciples if she, a master, had sex with a man in public? How could she suppress a group of patriarchs? Grandmaster Lu, this is too much. Yuan Yuyu bit her lips and said, Kill Yuyu. Yuyu would rather die than do such a thing. How about? Lu Li had an idea. Pointing to the mountain in the distance, he said, How about we take them off over there? The disciples of the Palace of Heavenly Palace won't be able to see us over there. If this is not enough, then you can die. Everyone of the Palace of Heavenly Palace will die with you. Lu Li's tone became colder as he finished his words. He was filled with killing intent. He took out the demon slayer, ready to fight at any time. Yuan Yuyu's face turned pale. She was filled with humiliation. Lu Li was a man that could move people's hearts. That being said, being forced to have sex with him still made Yuan Yuyu feel sad and angry. She said nothing for the time for half an incense stick to burn. Then, she kicked on the ground and rushed into the distance. At the same time, she said, Without my order, nobody can leave the valley. Anyone who disobeys will be killed. Ha ha ha. Lu Li was right behind her. Yuan Yuyu was fast. She rushed into the mountains 30 miles away and found a piece of flat grassland to stand on. Lu Li came over and looked at Yuan Yuyu with a wicked smile. The latter bit her lips and began to take off her clothes. As her robes came off, a beautiful body appeared in front of Lu Li. Yuan Yuyu's cheeks were as red as blood. She covered her private parts with her hands and trembled. She closed her eyes, not daring to open them. After a while, Luli didn't move. Lying on the grass, Yuan Yu made up her mind and said, "Grandmaster Lu, please take care of me." Cough, cough. Luli cleared his throat. After a pause, he said, "Well, Grandmaster Yuan, I only asked you to take off your clothes. I didn't say I would do it with you. You are overthinking. All right, I have punished you for your mistake. The resentment between the heaven-smashing valley and me is written off. I will never see you again." With that said, Luli drew a formation in midair and flew away. Yuan Yu opened her eyes in surprise and watched as Luli left. Ah! Chapter 1492. Luli flew across the void toward the north. He was fast. Yu Tian had just received the news that Luli was here. 2 hours later, there was another news that Luli was hundreds of millions of miles away in the north. Another 2 hours later, there was another news that Luli was at the heaven-breaching palace. Yu Tian had lost all hope. Luli flew to the northeast and covered hundreds of millions of miles every 2 hours. Even if Yu Tian chased after Luli, he would not be able to catch up with him. 10 hours later, there was news that Luli appeared at the Green Mountain of Demon in the central region. Yu Tian gave the order to withdraw. The Green Mountain of Demon was already under the control of other immortal kings. Even Yu Tian dared not to sneak over. Otherwise, it would cause a misunderstanding. Luli had run away. What else could Yu Tian do? Could he let the army wander around the world? He had to give the order to withdraw. Of course, he did not intend to let it go. That very day, he went to the King Pan city to meet King Pan and talked with him for 2 hours. Then, he took a King Pan's token and left. As soon as he left the King Pan city, he disappeared. Many people were actually guessing if Yu Tian was trying to find a way out of this embarrassing situation. Even if he took the King Pan's token to the other immortal king's control, they would not pursue the matter. Could he really find Luli? Could he catch up with Luli? But some people believed that if Yu Tian chased after Luli for a few years, he might have a good chance to capture Luli. After all, a supreme warrior of the divinity would have many means to chase after Luli. What was more, Yu Tian could use a large number of divine sources to ask many powerful races to chase after Luli. After all, there were not only humans in the land of Yuyan. Most of the people in the southwest were humans. In the other places, there were monsters or Asmodeans. Among the monsters and Asmodeans, there were some special races that had powerful means of tracking. If Yu Tian asked for help from those races, it would be easy to track Luli. Once he found Luli, Yu Tian would kill him at lightning speed. Luli would not be able to survive the attack from a supreme warrior of the divinity. The southwest region quieted down with Luli's departure. Luli became famous after this battle. He suppressed all the super mighty warriors of the divinity and approached those supreme warriors of the divinity. The warriors of the massacre shrine split up and secretly left. Most of them escaped from the southwest region. In any case, the martial artists of Yuyan Pass were basically roaming everywhere. Staying wherever they went was the same. The majority of the people quickly forgot about Luli. After all, a lot of them had never seen Luli after joining Massacre Shrine. Thus, they did not have deep feelings for him. Only a small portion of them secretly remembered to wait for Luli to rebuild the Massacre Shrine. At that time, they would immediately return and work under Luli again. There were also a small number of people who were killed before they could charge out. These people were killed by the various major powers. Many people knew that Luli had distributed the treasures and materials from the House of Stars. Star Mansion and Massacre Shrine become history. Star Mountain is occupied by a super expert of the God Realm. Very quickly, the southwest region calms down. Other than a few people who occasionally talked about it after tea or dinner, not many people paid attention to it. Pan Yuqin went back to closed-door cultivation again. She could not offer much help to Luli. After all, compared to Luli, Yu Tian was more valuable to King Pan and the Pan family. Luli had unlimited potential, but his character could never be tamed. For the Pan family, the disadvantages outweighed the advantages. King of Pan would not kill or banish Yuqing Tian, who had been loyal to him for years because of Luli. A month later, in a beautiful valley in the center of the land of Yuyin, Luli showed up. There was a river in the valley with ferocious wild beasts. Average immortals would not come here. When Luli arrived, he decided to settle here for a while. He let Qishir, Little White, and the deaf Taoist out, letting them have fun nearby. Several powerful wild beasts in the river were suppressed by Lu Li's interspatial force and then strangled them with spatial grinder. The area was safe for now. Lu Li sat in a cave on the cliff beside the river to cultivate. Qishir and Little White were playing in the river while the deaf Taoist watched them from below. Squeak, squeak, ha-ha. Little White's cheerful voice and Qishir's bell-like laughter came. Luli looked down and saw Qishir walking on the water like an elf with Little White chasing after her. Luli put on a smile. It would be great if there were no conflicts and killings in the world, and everything was perfect. Luli was thinking about finding a beautiful place in the divinity where he could bring his family here and find Lu Ling. He could live with his family, have a bunch of children, and live a carefree life. That would be a wonderful life. However, dreams were just dreams. The reality was always cruel. In order to live that life, Luli must grow stronger. He must become someone that nobody could threaten him, and he could dictate his fate. Maybe only by standing at the peak of the divinity could he have the life he wanted, a carefree life. Right? Children. Luli remembered that he couldn't impregnate a woman. Previously, he suspected that it was because of the silver dragon mark. He wanted to solve this problem after he came to the divinity. Now that he was in the divinity, he did not know how. Whoosh, the deaf Taoist flew up to Luli and asked, "Master, what are you going to do next?" Luli had told the deaf Taoist about what happened. Luli raised his eyebrows and said, "What? You want to go back to the region of doom? Do you need me to send you to the entrance?" "No, Master, don't misunderstand me." The deaf Taoist waved his hand. "Master, you have given me many materials. I can cultivate fast. In a few years, I will be as powerful as a mighty warrior in the divinity. It is my good fortune to be with you. How can I leave you?" "Oh." Luli touched his chin and asked, "Do you have any good ideas?" I think the deaf Taoist took out a map and said, "Master, you can take a look around here. This place is called the Ancient Demon's Dead Ground. There are many forbidden grounds of Elder God here, so not many people go there. Master, you are skilled in inhibition formations, and you have Blood Fairy. I don't think the inhibition formations here can trap you. There are many ancient relics and treasures here. It is said that hundreds of thousands of years ago, someone dug out a piece of chaos treasure. At the moment, that piece of chaos treasure is in the hands of the evil king in the north." This was the first time Lu Li had heard of this. He asked with curiosity, "What is chaos treasure?" "Master, you don't know?" The deaf Taoist smiled embarrassedly and explained, "The most powerful artifact that humans can make is a holy grade relic. The primordial spirit treasure is even more powerful than a holy grade relic. Primordial spirit treasures are formed naturally and are nurtured by natural laws over countless years. For example, in a horrifying volcano, if you are lucky, there will be a fire origin stone. This kind of stone can release the origin of fire and can incinerate a supreme warrior in the divinity. It is said that the master of the craftsman's sect has a fire origin stone. Incinerate a supreme warrior in the divinity? Lu Li's eyes were wide open, as if he had just learned about a new world. His eyes glowed as he asked, "Are you saying that there are chaos treasures in the ancient demon's dead ground?" "That is hard to say." Chapter 1493. The dead place of ancient demons was famous at the Yuyan land, but Lu Li did not pay much attention to it. The dead place of ancient demons was a land of treasure that attracted outsiders. The dead place of ancient demons was large. In ancient times, it was said that a powerful demon king lived here. That demon king built many inhibition formations. Anyone who dared to go in would face certain death. Therefore, it was named the Dead Place of Ancient Demons. In the end, the Dead Place of Ancient Demons became famous because of the discovery of chaos treasures. Later on, more warriors went in and found more treasures and lands of treasure. There were many natural restrictions and the ancient god restrictions set up by the ancient demon arch. Ordinary immortals might not be able to get out if they entered. The xianqi in heaven and earth was rich. Many places were filled with natural laws. It was easy to learn fundamental principles. That was to say, the Dead Place of Ancient Demons was a place where opportunities and dangers coexisted. If one was brave and lucky, he or she could grow quickly. If he or she was lucky enough to find a chaos treasure, or she could reach the top in one step. Of course, the Dead Place of Ancient Demons was a cruel place with 3 alien races living side by side. Killing was a common sight. Both alien races and their own races would fight when they ran into each other. Luli was intrigued by the deaf Taoist's explanation. As the deaf Taoist said, Luli was skilled in inhibition formations and Blood Fairy could solve them. At the very least, he wouldn't have to worry about being trapped or killed by inhibition formations. His chances of survival would be higher than others. Luli had his own concerns as well. It was too dangerous for Qi Shi'er. If he died, Qi Shi'er and Little White would be doomed as well. Qi Shi'er and Little White were too weak. If he died, they would not be able to come out. Luli had his own plan. He planned to wander around for a month or 2 until the southwest of the land of Yuyin quieted down. Then, he would sneak back and enter the Hall of Ghost. The Hall of Ghost was safe. That valley was a good place for cultivation. While he was there, his divine energy and physical body were growing stronger. There were some traces of Taoist principles left by Ghost Kings. From the Taoist principles of space, Lu Li's abilities were enhanced. Now he could even kill super mighty warriors in the divinity. How could he miss such a good place? More importantly, it was absolutely safe. He could cultivate in peace without fear. The only drawback of the Hall of Ghosts was that Qi Shi'er could not leave the wicked bead, or else she would be killed by the soul ripples of silence. He could not even enter the wicked bead. Therefore, Qi Shi'er had to stay in the wicked bead all by herself. Luli felt that this was unfair to a young girl in the prime of her life. However, he didn't know what to do with Qi Shi'er if he didn't bring her with him. Firstly, he was afraid something would happen, and secondly, Qi Shi'er wouldn't accept it. What a headache! Luli did not know what to do. The deaf Taoist said nothing and let Luli think on his own. The deaf Taoist was only providing suggestions. It was Luli who had the final say. Whoosh! After an hour, Qi Shi'er and Little White were tired. Qi Shi'er even caught some fish and jumped back up. Luli said with a smile, "Sure, do you want to eat fish? I'll roast it for you." Luli used to be good at cooking. He asked the deaf Taoist to find some wood and soon, the grill was set up. Luli also found some spices from his interspatial ring. In an hour, several fragrant fish were grilled. Little White looked at the fish with disdain and barked at Luli. Luli threw some cloud crystals to Little White, which gulped them down and laid down in the cave to rest. Little White must have become a mythical beast. Luli used psychic power to check and nodded. Little White was no different from a mythical beast now. He wondered when it could transform. The deaf Taoist was a mythical beast, and he could transform into a human. It was said that the Asmodeans could transform into humans. Little White would be an Asmodean after it transformed. Qi Shi'er finished 2 fish happily. Noticing that Luli was deep in thought, she asked with concern, "Brother, why aren't you eating?" Luli came back to his senses. He handed the fish to the deaf Taoist and said to Qi Shi'er, "I'm not hungry. I haven't eaten much over the years." At Luli's realm, he could cultivate and convert the xianqi in heaven and earth into energy. There was no need for him to eat. "Brother, is there something on your mind?" Qi Shi'er sat next to Lu Li in a well-behaved manner. She even held Lu Li's arm with one hand. She didn't mind that her chest was touching Lu Li's arm. Yes, Lu Li told Qi Shi'er about the ancient demon's dead ground and the palace of Ghost King without keeping anything from her. It was unrealistic for them to find an average place to cultivate. They had to go to these two places. Who could tell if Yuqing Tian would stop? What if Yuqing Tian had been secretly sending someone to track them down? Once Yuqing Tian and Qi Shi'er were located, it would be the end of Lu Li and Qi Shi'er. Therefore, they had to go to either the Hall of Ghost or the ancient demon's dead ground. Yuqing Tian would not be able to track them down. Regular scouts would die in the ancient demon's dead ground, not to mention finding Lu Li and Qi Shi'er. Qi Shi'er was in deep thoughts. She tilted her head and thought for a while. Brother, let's go to the ancient demon's dead ground. I don't want to grow up under your protection for the rest of my life. Father said that I am smart and a fast learner, but I lack real battles. With you around, I can try more battles and grow. With that said, Qi Shi'er looked at Lu Li with hope. Looking into her clear eyes, Lu Li felt warmth in his heart. He knew very well that what Qi Shi'er said was just an excuse. Qi Shi'er's real purpose was to be with him. She would stay as long as she could. She was afraid of being alone in the wicked bead. Even though Lu Li would put Qi Shi'er into the wicked bead when he was in danger in the ancient tomb, at least she could see him when it was safe. Once they were in the Hall of Ghost, unless Lu Li came out, Qi Shi'er would never see him again. Lu Li was in deep thoughts. After the time for one incense stick to burn, he nodded and said, "Okay, let's go to the ancient demon's dead ground first." Going back to the southwest of the land of Yuyin would be exposed when they flew across the void. Once Yuqing Tian learned that Lu Li had gone to the Hall of Ghost, he might trigger the inhibition formations of the Hall of Ghost if Yuqing Tian grabbed a super mighty warrior and threw him into the Hall of Ghost. If that happened, the Hall of Ghost would collapse. By then, Lu Li wouldn't even know how he died. In the Valley of the Hall of Ghost, Lu Li learned a sword mark fundamental principle. This fundamental principle would take many years. Maybe it would be easier to learn it in the ancient demon's dead ground? Also, there were many inhibition formations in the ancient demon's dead ground. Lu Li wanted Blood Fairy to solve more inhibition formations so that the inhibition formations could be more effective. With Blood Fairy, the ancient demon's dead ground would be less dangerous for Lu Li. It was unlikely that the divinity would be filled with supreme warriors. Lu Li was not afraid of the average super mighty warriors in the divinity as long as he did not run into any. Brother, you are so nice. Thought you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.